like you. Wonderful, wonderful, Father,
Brave. Thank you. Thank you, Mother Rosemary. Biafra National Anthem.
Land of the rising sun, we love and cherish. Beloved homeland of our brave heroes. We must defend our lives, or we shall perish. We shall protect our hearts from all our foes. But if the price is death for all we hold dear, then let us die without a shred of fear.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, great Biafrans and the world. Welcome to Biafra Global Summit. Today, December 17, 2022. We welcome you all over the world, wherever you are, to this memorable occasion. My name is Mwada Ndidamaka. I'm going to be the host for this great untold story. Welcome wherever you are all over the world, and I welcome my great panelists and all our guests. This is going to be a segment divided into two. From this moment to the next 2 hours, then we bring other people, other guests for the rest of the show for a total of 4 hours. We have speakers from all over the world. We have great people listening from all over the world. When their time comes, we're going to introduce them. At this moment, I invite Venerable Emeka Nwiwe, Doctor. He is the Biafran veteran and the chaplain of the Republic of Biafra government in exile. This is a occasion organized by the Republic of Biafra government in exile. So, Reverend, we call you to pray for us as we declare this summit open. Thank you, sir. Unmute yourself, Reverend, please.
All right, can you hear me now? Do you hear me?
Please, sir, pray for us. Yes, sir.
Okay, sure. I just want to thank God for this day. We've been praying for this day, and so let's say a word of prayer. A nation that's crying for its survival is not committing any sin. We're trying to remember what has happened in the past and to learn from it. So, Heavenly Father, we're asking you to come to be with us today. Give us wisdom, knowledge, grace, peace of mind. Lord, we pray for everybody on this show today that you will help us, speak to our people, Lord divine. We pray for peace in Biafra. Save our people who are being killed. Father, everywhere at home now, please help us. Some of our people who are being detained, that they be relieved. Lord, we pray for this Biafra government in exile. Be with us as we gather all Biafrans together so that we can win our independence again. Lord, strengthen us today. Bless today for us. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We declare officially this summit open. Now we play a recap of the Biafran genocide, the program that took place between 1967 and 1970 in Biafra land. Biafra is a nation that lived for 3 years, fought a war with the world. People massacred, over 3.5 million people, massacred in cold blood. A nation where children were starved, a nation where women were massacred, a nation that was barricaded from the rest of the world and they died of hunger. The untold story of Biafrans, the shame of Britain.
America just moved through. If you're under 65,
My father was lying not too far from me. I looked around and I saw machine guns being mounted all around. Some of them were also carrying automatic rifles.
There was silence. The students started shooting.
And my father was lying not too far from me. His eyes were open, but he was dead.
The chain of events that led to the deaths of the Saba began years before. British colonialists created Nigeria by cobbling together many independent territories, each with its own culture. In 1960, when gained independence, Nigeria was home to over 200 different ethnic groups. The largest being the House of Yoruba, and the fears that one group would dominate led to ethnic and corrupt elections, which set the stage for the overthrow by a group of military officers in January 1966. Many Northerners saw this as Igbo power. There had long been resentment against the Igbo, but embraced Western education, business, and civil service across the country. Attacks on Igbo people erupted across northern and western Nigeria that May. A counter coup Igbo head of state with Colonel Yakubu Gowon in July. The killings escalated into massacres, which the Igbo called Thousands of Igbo fled their ancestral homes in the East and Midwest, including Asaba. By early 1997, the governor of the Eastern Colonel Emeka was arguing that Igbos were no longer safe in Nigeria. After political negotiations failed, declared the sovereign state of Biafra on May. Located on the western Niger, Asaba was never part of Biafra, remaining part of the Midwest region. It was a quiet town. Population now by the arrival of the North and West. The war came to Asaba in August 1997. When Biafran troops crossed the Niger Bridge and invaded the Midwest, they quickly spread west, overrunning Benin and striking distance of Lagos. Federal forces quickly regained retook Benin City and pushed the Biafrans back to Asaba. On October 5th, the retreating troops crossed back into Biafra, destroying the bridge as they left. Federal troops under Colonel Murtala Muhammad arrived late on October 5th, striking fear into the townspeople. Soldiers began going from house to house, rounding up men and boys suspected of Biafra.
Somebody came looking for my brother-in-law. And they were burning houses. That opened the door and told them that no Biafran is there. The house will be burned.
Soldiers gathered people, and executions began.
A young man, in 2035, came with his wife. The wife just had it. Then sitting where we were, the man with the baby, the preacher came to him and said, "What did they do here? So he said, take your wife. I said, move. And as I was moving, I was trying to look at the soldier. Like, what do you want me to do? And the man pushed the gun. Put him at the back with the gun. I said, move. Say one Nigeria. So is that one Nigeria? I would not say they cry. The wife didn't say a word.
And I said, everybody, listen to the good people, like myself, my dad. I was walking behind it. But then, just about 2 kilometers down the road, with the heads blew up. People with white garment touched me with the bell. Still burning at that time. So that was the first sign. There was trouble.
The audio was and I think we will post it in our website. Biafran Republic of Biafra government website. This video of massacre in Asaba. So apologies for that. We must continue. And this time, I have. At this time, I will introduce my co-host. My co-host for this great occasion is Wanda Rosemary Williams. We have Dr. Aso and Dr. Diaz. There will be my co-anchors and co-hosts for this summit. Biafra Summit, Genocide Summit is one of a kind. The reason why we want to talk about it is because genocide is still ongoing. So we have to let the world know. Because if you don't tell your story, your enemy tells the story for you and puts your faces on the story. So please. We will pause this program that occurred in 1967 and 70 on our website so that the world can see the untold story,
of the Biafrans.
Why Biafrans
Why
are still
Biafrans are
clamoring
still
for their
clamoring
freedom.
for their freedom.
So at this
So
moment,
I invite Mother
She will
Rosemary.
be
She
our
will be
anchor for
our
social
anchor for
media.
social media.
She will be
She will
monitoring
be
our
monitoring
people all over the world, all lovers of
all
freedom,
lovers of
from
freedom
all over the
from
world.
all over the
Who will
world.
be joining
Who will
us
be
on
joining
Facebook,
us on
Twitter,
Facebook, Twitter,
and YouTube. So Wada Rosemary, I invite you at this moment.
At this moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amaka,
You haven't.
Yep.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Wada
Amaka.
Great job you are
Great
doing.
job you are doing.
I am grateful
I
to
am
be
grateful
here
to be
today.
here.
Another history in the
Another
making.
history in the making.
We are creating the
We are
awareness.
creating the awareness.
No. If they have
If
not,
they have not
bring to
bring
the
to the attention
the genocide that was committed to the people of Biafra, and the genocide is ongoing because it has never stopped. For our friends on social media, we are on other platform, global platform. You can join us via Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We are looking forward to hear from you. This genocide summit is a terrible thing that happened to the Biafran people. We want to hear from you. Bring your contribution, your input, your questions. We want to know. What do you think? Like the president of America say about it. Like Joe Biden, the president of Russia, Putin, and the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and all the world health leaders. What do you think they will be thinking about today? Are they listening? Are they paying attention? Are they hearing us? Because this is the Biafran people crying out, reaching out to them, trying to bring out to their notice if they have not been paying attention. And we also try to look forward to hear from people like Oprah Winfrey. We want to reach the people like Elon Musk. We want to reach the people like Bill Gates. We want to reach the people like Jeff Bezos. Those that are people helping, the philanthropists, the advocates, the ones that reach out and help the people in need. They should come to the aid of the Biafran people. And to our friends in social media, I'll be coming back to you in the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes to pick up your comments, your questions, your contributions. I will want you to tell me your name. If you are writing on the platform, please write your name and the city that you are listening and watching us from. And then if you are calling, you call to our phone number. You also have to explain to us, let us know where you are calling from and your name and what you think about today. Because this is a great occasion, another milestone for the people of Biafra that will help us to let the people know that there is ongoing genocide. Our people are dying, and we want the world to hear us. They want to grant us our freedom, the world to come to our aid. And that's where we are today. And at this juncture, I will invite Dr. Asoporo to take it from here because he will be the one that take it from me and continue with what we have today. Dr. Asoporo, please, sir, take it over. You are muted, sir.
I am unmuted in my own computer here. Do you hear me? Okay. Today is a day of reckoning for the world to hear again what is going on. And genocide is not new or peculiar with Biafra. The only thing that is peculiar is how the world turned their face the other side, especially the Western world. And that's what we want to sensitize them today. Why do you turn away your faces? Now is the time for you to come and help people, the people of Biafra, to gain their independence. And in today's program, the convener of this program is no other person than the president of the Republic of Biafra in exile. I'm delighted to introduce him, Mr. Tony Wisi. He will take the floor and speak on what we're going to do in a way. And after that, we introduce the other guests that will be speaking to us. And amongst them are Dele Ogun and Iwayaka O Iwayaka. But for now, Mr. President, sir, over to you.
Coming to today's broadcast. Apologies for the technical problems with our beginning. Technology often plays off at the wrong time. We're all learning to use this new tool. Welcome to Biafra Genocide Summit. I'm delighted to have you here today.
Hey,
been working on this. I have an echo again. Can you help me out? I don't need the echo at all. Shall I continue?
Please, I keep everybody muted. When you want to speak, you unmute yourself. The echo is coming from Ibayaka, I found out. So please, I mute everybody. Thank you, Mr. President. Go on.
All right, thank you very much. And so I'm going to read a short poem for us, and then I'll tell you why I convened this summit, which is going to be a regular summit that we might not forget. It's a poem written by a lovely lady called Anonymous, anonymous to the world, but known to me. It's called Echoes of Biafra, a tribute to the fallen heroes at Afaruku. I think of my brothers, I think of my sisters, my sons and my daughters, cut down in cold blood, butchered like rams, sacrificed to appease a vengeful God. To think is to remember the souls of the children, my sons and my daughters cut short in their prime, their blood poured out in sacrifice to fertilize the earth that bears the emblem of Biafra, the land of the rising sun. Their machine guns pumped and rattled off lead, hot lead, into the heads and hearts of the unarmed as the python danced. Those not fed with hot iron and lead were drowned in mud, where they unwillingly drank the purid waste of drainages. They were fed with sewage waste from the gutters of misrule. Their stomach protruded like pregnancies from drinking to overflowing the purid waste of man and beast. Their blood cries out for vengeance. They shall not be appeased until the flag of the rising sun is hoisted in the same land where their blood was spilled, in the same earth that opened its bowels, to receive them as sin and vengeance, offering a vengeful offering and vengeance offering to a vengeful God, to receive them as sin and vengeance, and vengeance offering to a vengeful God, where the oppressors dashed their heads against cobalt stones, their heads broken open to reveal the grey matters of a Biafran mind. On that same land shall we stand to raise the songs of victory, as we raise the lament to our God when our heroes fell. They shall not be appeased, neither shall they rest in peace, until the rising sun is fully risen in all its splendor. Then shall we sing the song of redemption in Biafra, in the very land where the young souls were wounded and their innocent blood poured out. But look and see the morning clad in a rosette mantle, with the rising sun in its wake, decked out in hallowed splendor. It shall be, and now is the time, that the wailing voices demanding the vengeance shall be assuaged with peace offering of the gift of Biafra, and Nigeria shall be dead. All hail Biafra. It's a lovely poem, but it's more like a lament describing the sorrows and the pain of the people of Biafra. And growing up as a young man, my father told me the stories of suffering and brutality, the stories that you can't sometimes even get your mind around it. And as a young man, I often asked the question, what was our crime? What was the crime of the Biafran people that led to the massacre, that led to the genocide? 3.5 million people slaughtered in cold blood. What was their crime? Self-determination. The opportunity to decide their own future. The opportunity to make decisions about their own future. That was their crime. We did not invade another man's land. We did not steal another man's property, another man's stuff. The crime was self-determination. Then I asked myself, where was the world? Where was the world? Where was the United States? And all that it represents. I remember the declaration on July 4th, 1776, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal. All men were created equal, and endowed by their Maker certain inalienable rights, among which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All men, it said. All men black, all men white, all men tall, all men short. So I thought to myself, the Americans wrote this. United Nations adopted it. So where was the United States when the genocide was taking place in Biafra land? When our mothers were slaughtered and our sons were slaughtered and our fathers were slaughtered? Where was the United Nations when all this was going on? All these fine words. Not only that, where was United Kingdom? Where was France, who often talk about human rights and liberty? Where were they? Where was CNN? Where was Fox News? Where was the BBC? It is said that the media are the guardians of democracy. The media, yes, citizens too. But the media has an essential role to play. Where were they when all this was going on? And where are the heroes of today? The heroes of the world? The icons, the actors who are not necessarily politicians. Where were the Oprah Winfreys, the Elon Musks of that time? Indeed, where are they today? For the genocide is ongoing. It's still going on. Until 2 days ago, 50 people killed in Enugu, in Asaruku. Where is Elon Musk? Where is Oprah? Where is Jeff Bezos? Where are the leaders of the world? The icons. A most daunting scenario, a most daunting problem. When the world shuts its eyes and its ears to your plea and to your plight. And that's what gave birth to Biafra Genocide Summit. That we do not forget the 3.5 million, or as my sister often tells me, perhaps 4 million, 5 million. For the genocide has not finished. The 3.5 million is what was recorded in history books up to 1970. But the genocide is ongoing till today, till 2 days ago. No war declared, yet people being killed, slaughtered every day. Why? Because they want the right to determine their future. And that's the reason for the Biafra Genocide Summit. That's why I launched Biafra Genocide Summit. It's an initiative of the Republic of Biafra government in exile. It shall be a monthly program, and then an annual one as well. The reason is to make sure we don't forget. The reason is to make sure we stay top of mind. The reason is to make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. Biafra Genocide Summit. And so I invite you, my friends, around the world, I invite you to join this summit, participate in this summit. Bring your questions, bring your comments. I invite you, young people, your 20s and your 30s, adults, but might not have learned about this. Started 50 years ago, 1967 to 1970, and up to today. I invite you, our friends and our partners around the world. I invite you to become partners with us, students, colleges, universities. I invite you to debate this issue, debate this topic at Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard and Yale. I invite you to live up to your responsibility. I invite you to become leaders and become a champion for the cause of the Biafran people. Become a champion for the cause of the Biafran people. And specifically, I invite the like of Elon Musk, the like of Oprah, the like of Jeff Bezos, the like of Bill Gates. I invite you. For you're not just business people, but you're icons that the world looks up to. We looked and observed how Elon Musk did so much to help the Ukrainian people. We celebrate your leadership for that, Elon Musk. And so we invite you, students, universities. The Biafran cause, the cause of the Biafran people, is a subject of conversation, is a subject of debate, should be a subject of debate in your universities, in your colleges. Why? So that we do not forget, and so that we can hold our politicians accountable. Politicians all the way from Abuja to London to Washington, D.C. to Paris, so that we hold them accountable. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be with you today. Thank you. Back to the studio.
Wow, that is wonderful. A great presentation by the duly elected president of the Republic of Biafra in exile, based here in Washington, D.C. Maybe some people may not know. We have an office there. We have Biafra House at 1717 Pennsylvania Avenue, very close to the White House. And we do business there as a nation in an exile. And you are invited to stop by and air your views or hear out what's going on. I said at the beginning that Biafran genocide isn't particularly peculiar to Biafrans. The Jews were slaughtered by wicked Adolf Hitler, but it took the nations of the world to give them their home in 1948. What's keeping us from doing the same for Biafra? Yugoslavia in our own time, in our own very time, where there were a lot of evil being meted to a minority. The US rose up, fought that war, and set people free. We want Biafra now without any further bloodshed. In that poem, he called it Peace Offering. It touched my heart. And Nigeria will be no more. What a great declaration. I have the great pleasure of inviting another speaker, Delogu. Delogu is a very great man. He's a London-based author. He's a lawyer. He's a publisher. And he's a commentator on world affairs. So he's well fitted to speak to us today. He was called to bar both in English law and in Nigeria bar. A great man. And he founded his own business, Palmer LLP in London. If you have any legal interest or questions, please contact him. Dela is here, his credentials, because of the time we had in trying to stop. I'm not able to go through all of them. But Dele, please speak to us. Speak to the world concerning Biafra genocide.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to address the people of Biafra and the international community on this very important topic. I'm going to explain why it happened. Many of you know what happened. I'm going to explain why it happened. Now, your president, Tony Mwisi, you just heard him ask the question, what was our crime? And he suggested that the crime was simply self-determination. I'm going to say that that is not correct. You committed no crime. He also asked, where were the rest of the world? Where was America? Where was Britain? Where was the United Nations? When you hear my presentation, you will understand why they were all absent. He also said that genocide is not unique and the Biafran experience is one of many. I will say that Biafra was exemplary. It was much worse than the Jewish Holocaust. And I say that because the Jewish Holocaust can be attributed to the directive of one man, Adolf Hitler, controlling one country. But Biafra was, as you would understand from my presentation, an international conspiracy. This is why they were all absent. Now, to understand the Biafran genocide and why it happened, one must travel back in time to the year 1884, to that conference in Berlin, which 13 European countries and some actually invited observers, like the United States of America, sat around that conference table from 15th of November 1884 until 26th of February 1885. For what purpose? To agree a joint policy for Africa. This was the climax of the European reconnaissance missions into Africa, which had begun 100 years before in the wake of the abolition of the slave trade. The British, for example, had established the Association for the Promotion of the Discovery of the Interior Parts of Africa, otherwise known as the Africa Association, in June 1788. And the Church Missionary Society was established in April 1799. The explorers and missionaries were returning with their stories of human sacrifice and cannibalism in order to make the case for their mission to bring civilization to Africa. Now, those concepts are very important to keep in mind. Human sacrifice. That is what was alleged that we were doing. Now, talking about human sacrifice, lawyers amongst you may be aware of a classic case from the era of slavery and the slave trade that was commonly known as the Zong case. This judgment came through in 1783. In order that you get a sense of the timing, 1783 was the year of the US victory against the British in the War of Independence. And what happened in that case is the ultimate story of human sacrifice. That is before we come to Biafra. This was a slave ship, and the master of the ship calculated that he did not have enough water on board to make it to his intended destination, which was the island of Jamaica. And so what did he do to lighten the cargo? He threw overboard hundreds of those who were in that enslaved condition, even with their chains on, threw them into the ocean and drowned them in order to save his journey. His calculation was that they would make more profits from the sacrifice. If he was to claim on the insurance policy, he will claim on the lost cargo, because that is what our people had been reduced to. So that was 1783. But almost 100 years later, here they were together in Berlin in 1884 to agree a pact to reshape the borders in Africa in a way that they knew from their own experiences would engender the daily sacrifice of African lives, as casually as the master of that slave ship had done when he had thrown those Africans overboard. And as your president said, the genocide in relation to Biafra is ongoing. In the same way as they had collaborated over the colonization of Africa, so too the approach to decolonization was the product of collaborative thought. The guiding principle was the preservation of the Berlin legacy as represented by the borders. And so this required that leaders of the newly independent states created in the course of so-called decolonization had to be supported, or as the case may be, eliminated according to their political persuasion in relation to Berlin. You all saw the current crop of leaders gathered in Washington just this week, last week, at the invitation of President Joe Biden. Now, this gerrymandering of African leadership at the point of decolonization was reinforced by the establishment of the Organization of African Unity on 25th of May, 1963, with a principal objective of that organization being to defend the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of African states as drawn up at the Berlin Conference. Almost 3 years to the date of the establishment of the OAU, the first installment of human sacrifice for the preservation of the Berlin design for unity in Africa came with the first round of pogroms against Igbos in northern Nigeria on 29th of May, 1966. The genocidal Biafra War followed in May 1967 and ran on until 15th of January 1970. But as your president noted, the slaughter continues daily. Now, why did it happen? The war happened because the Berlin formula was for a unitary Nigeria, one indivisible and indissoluble union. See, the loose federation in the form of the free region structure that we had in 1960 was never really the agenda. It was only ever intended as a staging post in the journey towards one Nigeria. The Berlin Pact never contemplated unions based on love and brotherhood between the ethnic groups that were lumped together. The unions were always intended to be held together through human sacrifice. The more the numbers and the more inhumane the sacrifice, the better the spirit of Berlin is assuaged. This is why the code name for that war, the Biafran War, was Operation OAU, Organization Africa Unity. The war and the way it was conducted was intended as a warning to all others who might wish to undo what was agreed in Berlin. I had a dinner with a very famous barrister, the one who defended Nelson Mandela in the treason trials a couple of years back. And I recall him asking, how comes no one in Africa has ever changed the borders as set down at Berlin in 1884? And I pointed to Biafra and the Biafra War, that was the attempt to change those borders. That slaughter happened because the agenda was that those borders should never be changed. So what is to be done? This union, this imposed union, which calls for so much human sacrifice, and every day Nigerian lives are being lost by way of sacrifice to that Berlin designed union. It must be restructured into a union based upon a principle of live and let live. The spirits of Berlin must be excised from Africa's soil and replaced by the African spirit of brotherhood and good neighborliness. The way forward, as my organization, the Fatherland Group, has advocated, is the Orange Union. It is our solution for how communities might live together and yet live their own lives. The point that I wish to close upon is this. They came with stories that they were coming to civilize us because communities were indulging in human sacrifice. But Biafra is the lesson that their unions, the unions that they imposed upon us, following on from Berlin, exemplified by the Nigerian Union, has led to greater numbers of human sacrifice than we could ever have sacrificed ourselves, however barbaric they claimed our customs were. Biafra alone was how many millions? Not to think of those who have been slaughtered in every part of the country, even as we speak. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts with you this afternoon, and I wish you the very best in the struggle for justice.
Thank you, Dele. Wow, Delogu, I dock my cap as you went to where it began, way back when. What a great history. And your points are very clear, very well detected. The fact is this: we, the Black people, the African people, must rise up to stand our grounds. I'm dumbfounded that this thing is deeper, as the Igbo people will say. Whatever is inside the nursery is really very deep. But what are we going to do? Fold our hands? No. We have to continue to pound the doors of Britain and the doors of USA and then the rest of them. And by the way, this predated the amalgamation. But we all know we have to hold Britain accountable. 100 years of amalgamation has passed. It was an experiment for 99 years. Now we are over 100 years. Nigeria must be dissolved, as is true of any such physical union, as we chemists we call them, physical change. Without belaboring it and taking more time, I am going to call upon Comrade Ibayaka O Ibayaka. Ibayaka O Ibayaka is a Biafran. He is from Umuna in Olu local government in Imo State. And by the way, the bloodshed is continuing in Imo State, keeping the blood sacrifice, as Dele pointed out, increasing the bloodshed. But anyway, we are rising up. We are standing up. Ibayaka, oh Ibayaka, please join us and present to us your thoughts, your education, and the blessings are many here. And I'm going to just mention that after his secondary school at St. Dominic Xavier Secondary School and the missionary school in Tweke, he went further, attended Imo State University, Owerri, graduated in philosophy department, and has held various positions: Director of Transportation Students Union, Government at Imo State University, and Prime Minister Haneze Ndibo Undergraduate Forum. So Ibayaka, please. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Mr. Ibayaka is currently the youth leader of Ohaneze, chairperson, youth, Ohaneze Youth. So speak to us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my great listeners, the great Biafrans. I have a paper to present on this special Biafra 19th December 2022. I think I intentionally titled and the readiness to avoid another Igbo genocide. The 19th genocide against Igbo was a historical event, but due to such wicked acts took place in Africa, the history was banned in secondary schools in Nigeria just to bury the history of the genocide. Narration to know what happened during the genocide. The so-called Biafra Nigeria Safe War, as they normally said, was against the international standard and principles of war. Nigeria government, with the aid of Queen Elizabeth, their war target was on innocent civilians, bombing of civilian space such like churches, schools, and markets. In actual sense, but a genocide against the African world. The massacre was a deliberate attempt to wipe away Ndibo from the surface of the earth. It was perpetuated against the Jews by Germany in 1941 to 1945, as masterminded by Nazi Germany. The brutal attacker systematically murdered over 6 million Jews across the Germany. For the divine intervention of God, today, the Igbos and Jews are still existing. The Jews have faced the existential ordeal in the hand of the Igbophobia and Jewish phobia. The 1960s in Biafra land that left children fatherless and motherless, and most parents childless, which was the brainchild of late Queen. In our mind remain evergreen in the heart of the new generation of the Biafran people. Queen Elizabeth, the British government perpetuated death in their bid to satisfy their love for natural resources in Biafra land. Was executed because of the Western love for solid minerals, that is gold, and liquid mineral, that is oil. They exchanged the life of Biafran, estimated 3.3 million lives of Biafran killed. They spilled the blood of our fathers, mothers, children, brothers, sisters in exchange for oil. Yes, the oil from Biafra land and the oil, the blood from the flesh of the Biafran people. It is the oil, our as he fed on the natural resources and also from the blood of the Biafran people that shrink his face. I am always engulfed in God's people. Operations show no mercy, shoot everything aside. A military operation code for the elimination of the remaining civil territory by 3rd Marine Commando from Port Harcourt under the command of General Olu. Eliminated Igbo men, women, little children, and school children. The most horrific of it all was when those Chief Olusegun Obasanjo approached a place known as Mbise. Without mercy, they maimed and who were on their return home from school. The most miracle that took place in this massacre was saved an order the queen-sucking bloody soldiers gave to the innocent schoolgirls before shooting them dead. The soldiers had approved Chinwe Ohere asked her to say her last prayer, meaning that the schoolgirl, Miss Chinwe Ohere, should conduct her funeral. Last prayer order before the innocent schoolgirl at Mbise in a present day of Imo State under the command of several bullets into the body of the innocent girl at Okpofe Mbise, with just Miss Chinwe Ohere as the only survivor. The then Miss Chinwe Ohere is now Professor Chinwe Obaji, who brought many educational reform into the Ministry of Education. At the short time, she became the Minister of Education under the same emotionless and brutal General Olusegun Obasanjo, who had ordered the firing of several bullets into her body. There were likes of this personality died during this genocide. I won't forget in a hurry the bombing of Owerenta market that left over 100 civilians dead and many injured. Uzakole market, Uzabe market in Arochukwu in Abia State was bombed. The Russia air bombers hired by Queen Elizabeth of and brain of helpless civilians and shattered the same for vultures to feed on them. Okigwe National High School was bombed, leaving the scars and remnants are still there. Again, it pleased the Queen that over 200 Biafran soldiers who said were slaughtered in Port Harcourt by the same 3rd Marine Commando under General Olusegun Obasanjo. October 1967, Osowa Oba Asaba massacre by the 3rd Division under Molitara Mohammed, during which Ibrahim Haruna, Ibrahim Taiwo, Igbos, especially male children, adult male, in a disguise to address them. This depressing act still traumatized Igbo. The Queen and cohorts toast up of the cup of celebration at Buckingham Palace, the cup of wine that signifies the blood of the innocent Biafrans. Not a war, but a calculated genocide. No general will be leading his people in a war and at the same time engage in wedding, like what general when the genocide was still on, he was busy wedding his wife, Miss Victoria Sakari. In this topic, the Agarandu Paku and the readiness of Ndibo to avoid another genocide defies the and it shall provide for us a practical approach to avoid another genocide in Igbo land. It is not news again expanding the jihadist mission. Therefore, ethnic cleansing of our tribes in Nigeria is now inevitable to them. Firstly, there is a need for youth in all the autonomous communities in Igbo land. Such town hall meeting, political mobilization, reorientation, and also social re-engineering on the importance of self-determination as the only solution in Nigeria. The President General of various communities shall have a joint meeting with the community youth leaders to present a strategy. Secondly, after building the security consciousness of our people through town hall meetings, there will be interconnection of indigenous community-based security service without a criminal record or any case across the communities in Igbo land. Thirdly, such community-based security service must be devoid of influence in all ramifications. Fourthly, the community security service must be under the control of town union president and community youth leaders democratically elected by Ndibo. The community-based security must recruit at least 10 youth to defend Igbo invention. Ndị Igbo must get ready to protect themselves to avoid the sudden attack of 1967-1970 genocide. Matters most at this collapsed state of Nigeria. As Ndị Igbo continue to invest in business both at home and in diaspora for more wealth, they should have a rethink of their life and properties matters most, because to discover their hometown. Ndị Igbo are yet to found a place called their home. Today, the Jews can boast of their own nation. They can boast of their own home that scattered all over the world. There is a need for Ndị Igbo to trace back their roots. The concept of Girigiriwu Gweze and the concept of Onyagala Nwanne, and also the concept of Igwebike, Ndị and business, but none of their business or establishment are secured today. Even the existence of Ndị Igbo. We must have an economic and political plan to capture Ali Igbo, to take back those who are slave master by extension, European powers. Ndị Igbo must wake up at this time now to fight for their political and economic. Offer two ways by which we can get this our freedom, either by political democratic emancipation, and which is revolution, or by guerrilla war. Of things in Nigeria today, Ndị Igbo must understand the concept of Igbophobia by the Western world. Ndị Igbo must realize rule and the warrant chief was introduced, and how difficult it was for Western world to capture Ndị Igbo. They are not happy, and if we in Nigeria, Biafra save Nigeria independence. People that fought for Nigeria independence are mainly the Igbos, but the West, the intellectual capacity and capability of Ndị Igbo, they hated Ndị Igbo. That was why now head of government. Ndị Igbo must realize all these things, that what we are fighting today is a global, and each of the country that we are calling to come and help Ndị Igbo, we must ask ourselves, what will be their gain? Going on in Nigeria today against of oil and gold. But we must ask ourselves, is that country a selfless country, or are they coming with a bargain? We must handling the leadership of Nigeria today as slaves. Nigeria is still suffering by neo-colonialism. We must understand this. In 1914, that the amalgamation of southern and northern Nigeria is for administrative convenience. They know that we have different beliefs. They know that we have different faiths. But because of administrative convenience, they were able to merge us together. And that is why Nigeria in crisis. We must take our mind back, even after the Nigeria Biafra Civil War, that the 3R was one. The reconciliation, rehabilitation, and the reconciliation. None of those things was implemented in Biafra land or in Igbo land. We must realize against us was not just because of the Jaw people or Ihobo people, it's just because the Ndị Igbo is involved. Had it been that issue that the world will not support that genocide, they could have looked for a way of peace. But there has been always a calculated attempt to remove Ndị Igbo out of the surface of the earth, like the same fate the Jews are suffering today. Ndi Igbo must realize this thing in their territory, starting from the small unit territory we have today known as the Southeast region. We must realize today what is our plan to capture and economical. Are we going to allow the same political stooge that are representing the Fulani political oligarchy to become us in 2023? And that is why today we cannot have any House of Assembly member, House of Reps, Senate can stand up and say something concerning the Biafra genocide. None of them can utter a word because masters, I think it is time for us to take our freedom, both politically and otherwise. And the mobilization, what we need to do is to spark a very high social engineering in the mind of the Igbo people in the Southeast to ensure that all these political slaves will not represent us or will not be governors again. There is a need for us to start rooting for credible candidates that love freedom, men and women that love freedom within the Southeast, to support them to emerge so that issue at the National Assembly. Nobody till today, after 57 years, injustice against Igbo, none of the Southeast politicians or Igbo politicians, they have not raised any issue against the marginalization, against, like our president said that the genocide is still on. Yes, on 22/23 of last month, more than 100 people were killed. Till today, 50 persons were still missing. Again, on 7th December, this month again, the Fulani Hens and killed more than 30 persons at Ihamufu. As I'm talking to you now, about 2 villages in that area, the school, the College of Education we have at Ihamufu, I spoke with the rector. She told me that it's no longer at Ihamufu now, that she from her maternal home, that I've written a letter in danger. So the school is shut down now. The villagers, nobody, everybody have run away. That is the situation. What is incoordinate genocide going on again in our land? And I want to speak it without any missing word, that even the governors, the citizens have rise in the occasion of their responsibilities to condemn this act. I believe that one of the primary responsibilities is the protection of life and properties. But the Igbo people are living in danger. That means we have a third state. Our life is in danger. They cannot protect our life and properties again. And that is why we rose in our occasion of Astohanese. The only solution for us is for self-determination. I think at this juncture, I will end for this opportunity. We must do the necessary to reclaim our land and to continue to fight for our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibayaka. It's really another dimension you brought in. Solid minerals, and of course, the black gold, crude oil. Now, I don't know how many of you knew that USSR was involved in this genocide. At a time when the Cold War was at its worst, Britain, USSR joined hands to commit this evil. This matter is something that the world must rise up to the occasion. We're going to go to the social media The two adults we have today will be telling us what's going on there in a moment. Rosemary, the Amazon herself, and Adamaka, who is actually running the whole show with technology. Can we hear from you guys? What's going on? Any responses from social media before we go to the discussions?
Yes, I'm monitoring the Twitter, the government Twitter, and our mother Twitter. I have many responses here from different parts of the world. I have Natasha says she's in Rome. Natasha says, I am a Biafran by birth. It pains me with the when I hear about the untold things done to my people. My father is a Biafran. Natasha is sent this tweet from Rome. I have here Ikenna. Ikenna is in an African nation I don't want to mention. Ikenna says, I am so proud that responsible people are coming up in this struggle to speak up. Biafra genocide can never be forgotten. Here in Paris, Nkiru says, I live in Paris, and it pains me when I see the way my people are being treated. I feel the Biafran genocidal echo should sound louder. These are different people from different parts of the world. So we are being monitored and watched all over the world. From me and Twitter, over to you, Mother Rosemary. Thank you.
Rosemary, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Wada and Didamaka. And on Facebook, many people are following too. I see somebody here from London, and Eukaria from London, and she is saying that the Biafran people have finally waking up, that it is good that they are coming together, and they should put behind whatever that is holding them together in order to reclaim their freedom and their land. And then I see Mr. Enrique. Enrique is calling from Spain, and he said, you guys should keep it up. There is nothing like freedom. And many other people are calling and texting, and they are giving us go ahead and keep up fighting, because freedom is not free. When you need freedom, you either engage in it or you can, succumb to slavery. So the people are commenting, and many people are coming up. Thank you so much.
That both Facebook, Twitter, who knows what's going on in Instagram, but whatever the case, we must sensitize the world about not only the evil meted to Ndibo and the Biafrans, but also to sensitize the world at the time Dele will talk to us more about it when we get into panel discussion here. The time for that shift of boundaries to happen has come, and now is it. And now is it. And we're glad to do that. So we are going to go into a panel discussion and bring in more people to speak to us, to speak their thoughts about this Biafran genocide. We're not going to stop at the genocide story. We have to go beyond it. Why are Nigerian intellectuals spellbound to keep the boundary of Europe segregating Africa to their own individual gains? So for the panel discussion. And before we do that, do we have a light interlude of music here? Nidamaka? Okay, if we don't, what?
British colonialists.
I would want us to listen to
together many once independent territories, each with its own culture. In 1960, when it gained independence, Nigeria was home to over 200 different ethnic groups, the largest being the Hausa Fulani, the Yoruba, and the Igbo. Fears that one group would dominate led to ethnic tension and corrupt elections, which set the stage for the overthrow of civilian rule by a group of military officers in January 1966. Many Northerners saw this as an Igbo power play. There had long been resentment against the Igbo, who had embraced Western education and become leaders in business and civil service across the country. Attacks on Igbo people erupted across northern and western Nigeria that May. A counter-coup replaced the Igbo head of state with Colonel Yakubu Gowon in July, and the killings escalated into systematic massacres, which the Igbo called pogroms. Thousands of Igbo fled to their ancestral homes in the East and Midwest, including Asaba. By early 1967, the governor of the Eastern region, Colonel Emeka Ojukwu, was arguing that Igbos were no longer safe in Nigeria. After political negotiations failed, he declared the sovereign state of Biafra on May 30th. Soon after, civil war broke out.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
On the West
Thank
Bank,
you for that clip.
Saba was never part of Biafra.
Nidamaka, please. So I want to say that we're on schedule. That's wonderful. This is beautiful. And we're going to get on the panel. And this time we'll allow you a few minutes each person that spoke already. And we'll raise some questions that you want to answer. And the new people that we are going to bring into the panel include Dr. Egemba, Mazinwoye, of course, Ibayaka and Dele were here already, and they're going to spice it up. The panel, are you guys ready? My first question is this: when is this? What did you call it, Dele? Take this question. The Berlin meeting. What is it called now? I forgot.
Berlin Conference.
Berlin Conference. Thank you. I remember when they divided this map, arbitrary boundaries, and jamming people's heads. Please take it along with what Bayaka mentioned about amalgamation. When are we going to be done with it? Nigerians have more than enough people of high brain capacity. Why are we still slaves to what Europe says? That reminds me of Sonny Okusun. He says, "Tell me who owns the land," in that famous song, his music in those days. So, Dele, I'm calling you to first take a bite on this, and then the other panelists, please feel free to jump in, as it were, but speaking one person at a time. Let's go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, look, every question, every problem can be solved once you have an understanding of the problem. If we take ourselves back to school, any maths problem, if you couldn't solve it, it's because you didn't understand it. The value of this kind of exercise is to share understanding. And what I've explained is that the roots of the genocide, the reason the genocide happened, was the preservation of the borders that Europe gave to our ethnic groups when they sat together in Berlin in 1884. And these were borders that were designed to be preserved by human sacrifice. This is what has been happening. Now, the amalgamation of northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria was simply a step towards the one Nigeria, the unification. That was always the agenda for the British since Berlin. There was like you're building a building. You lay the foundations first, then you add a certain level, maybe the ground floor, then you add the second floor. So what the British were doing was that they were first absorbing the South. Since they were sending the missionaries in and the other reconnaissance agents to do the reconnaissance. That is what they were doing in southern Nigeria. The northern Nigeria phase started late, which was 1898, is when they brought what is technically the Islamic North, both the Fulanis, the Sokoto Empire, and the Kanuri elements. They brought them in by treaty with France. June 1898 was the date of the treaty in which the Sokoto Empire and the Kanuri elements of northern Nigeria were brought into what we now know as Nigeria, in exchange for the British releasing their territorial interests in Madagascar to the French. That was the swap that was done. So amalgamation in 1914 was just the next phase. And I want you to get rid of the theory that the amalgamation was for 100 years. It was not. It was permanent. There was no treaty of amalgamation. This is a mistake that many of us make when we discuss this issue. The amalgamation was by an edict signed by King George V in Windsor Castle, England. That is how the amalgamation happened. So there's no treaty of amalgamation between North or South, or indeed any ethnic group. It was a command. And that's Nigeria that was thus constructed by that unification order from Windsor Castle is what Biafra was all about, the preservation and the defense of those borders that were given to us from Berlin in 1884. You're muted, sir.
Can I come in?
Yeah, just a second. Because you practice in London, are you able to find that edict and share it with us? Some of us would like to read it.
Yes, I have a copy of the edict. I will send it to your president, Tony Nwisi.
Okay, thank you. Mazimoye, are you the one wanting to come in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry. My location, gave me a lot of headache today, but I was able to move around and find a place to join. Thank you all. And, heard everything, most of the things we are talking, we're all in the same well of headache created for us by the British and the Europeans. They agreed to keep everything to themselves and extract and just give us pieces they want that they don't need, and our people festering with stupidity, irrespective of what we call education. We can all see that the miseducation started with all the lullabies, Mungopa discovered the River Niger, Obi is a boy, all this nonsense. You know, we have not been mentally capable to extricate ourselves from all these problems, because just like Dele, is eloquently alluding to everything, the mindset of Europeans, the white man, is imperialism and supremacy. Christianity was an arm to advance that project. But now, most of us understand. Most of us, are now in the know. Why are we, like in Acts, still keeping the borders? Because the reason the borders are still there is some of us remain mentally retarded to make a decision that we can stop this, but we have to exercise the willpower. God created man equal. One head, 2 eyes, 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 brain. But it looks like it's only Africans that are not using their brain to get what they want. Somebody gives you a name, you ask yourself, what is in a name? What does that name mean? Is it for me or for him or her? Until Africans, whether you call it Nigerians or Biafrans or Yoruba, Oduduwa nation, until we understand the capacity we need to emancipate ourselves, our problem continues. The killing continues.
Wow.
Now, we add to our own problem when you add extras of what I call intra-genocidal adversity. This is when some of us, what they call insider jobs, instead of coming together, uniting against the enemy, we aid and abet the enemy. For what? Financial gains, upward social mobility, and wealth accumulation. So we fail ourselves when we don't understand what we need to do to get out of this problem. We will always keep playing victim. That's why some of us got awoken and committed when Mazen Nandekanu came out and started shouting and shouting and shouting. The message was clear 8 years ago in 2014 when he said, the Fulanis are coming, they're going to kill all of you. Nobody listened. Our politicians like Ibaika, I think that was him that says, these are the people causing the problem. We stop listening to them. We stop helping them because they are not going there to make a case for our development, to make a case for the improvement, environmental protection, or anything to help us. The politicians are the problem. Nigeria is not a workable entity. And no matter how we try it, no matter how people try it, it will not work. Everybody should go, devise a way to come together. It will not work, can never work. It wasn't meant to be. That is my message. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. I still have to re-echo Dele Ogun. He said, if we don't know if you don't understand the question, you cannot solve it. What a great thought there. Now we know the problem, though. How are we going to solve it? Dr. Egemba, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Take it on. It's a wide spectrum now. Whichever section you want to bite on. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you very much. And I will beg your indulgence to allow me to dive a little bit historically as a scholar of history. It's only fair that I dive a little bit into history with regard to this genocide of 18. In history, before Biafra, there has been recorded at least nine genocide cases before Biafra. The first was in the territory of today's Namibia, which was then called South West Africa, if I'm not mistaken, Southwest Africa, Namibia. And incidentally, it was the Germans who was occupying Namibia that time, Southwest Africa that time. It was there they experimented what they perfected in during Nazi Germany, which metamorphosed into the most recognized, talked about genocide in history, the Holocaust. So there, they used ethnicity to make the experiment. Because of time, I will have to fast forward it a little bit. And the one that concerns us also, then you talk about the East Pakistan, or East Indian or East Pakistan, which is today's Bangladesh, the genocide. And in most of these cases, most of the genocide cases in history, Britain has got their hands in it. And not just in genocide cases, in most other civil war, civil disobedience, violence, everything around the world, where there is a violence, where there is a catastrophe in most countries of the world or most territories of the world, the British hands are written all over it. They cannot escape. So, fast forwarding it to Biafran case. Just before us, it was that Eastern Pakistan that came before that of Biafra. And why? I have been checking. Even up to today, we have up to 15, 16 registered genocide or more. But Biafra is not featured there. The answer is why? The answer lies between us, among us, we Biafrans. One time, the Damaka pointed out, and the president and some other people who spoke here today, that we need to speak or tell our story, or else others will tell it, record it, and put our names and faces into it. It is not acceptable. Now, the reason why our case has not been registered or officially recognized is because of us. We have not shouted. We have not made our case good enough, compelling enough. Again, some of Nwatan Didamaka, our president, have said Elon Musk, Bill Gates, this, Oprah Winfrey, all this. With due respect, these celebrities, they are not going to tell our stories for us. They are not going to put our story in world map. It is us that will make the case, and then they will come in. The task for us, of course, including me, is if we go back and establish these African Americans, as you people call it there, who among them have Igbo blood, have Biafran blood in them, genetically, it is easy to find out. I have read somewhere that Oprah Winfrey is somehow has some Igbo genetical makeup in her. And there is a lot of them. If we find them, we do our research and find them, we approach them privately, without them even those that are 100% or 50% or 70% Igbo celebrities in the field of, just name it, sports, media, business, entrepreneurship, discoveries, name it. We have our people there. But why are they not talking about? They will not talk about it because they have not seen the right platform to come in to identify with. And this is where the Republic of Biafra government in exile comes in. If we don't make our bed, if we don't make our case, if we don't create the platform, instead of attracting these people to come and identify with us, identify with their ancestry, identify with their history, identify with the base where they come from, they will not want to be identified. Nobody wants to associate themselves with division, with failure. So this is our story is there to be told. We have not told it enough. I'm sorry. It may seem that, some people say, haven't they heard? Haven't they seen? Seen from where? From who? There is right and wrong ways of making statements, of making history, of telling story. Social media is there, it's like Market Square, but you have to tailor it to benefit you, to suit you, to help you achieve what you want to achieve. But unfortunately, I still put myself there. I am part of it. I have been around for a long time. We have not done enough. If we are thinking for these people to come and say, hey, come and knock at our door. What do you think that you said you want? No, it will never happen. It is us. What we do will attract them. Oh, now these people, I've been hearing them. If we go through this history, okay, the Jewish Holocaust, remember, let us not lose focus here that we are talking about genocide. And me, myself, I have not. Remember that we all know that genocide do not have a sell-by date, don't have sell-by date. You know what I mean by best before, or rather, it does not expire. Up to this second, the Jewish people are still hunting those connected with genocide. Anywhere they see them, they will bring them to justice. The same goes to Rwanda, same goes to Armenia, same goes to the starvation of Ukrainian in the 1930s by the Stalin government, and so on and so forth. Those who are connected with those, when the time reaches, when they catch them, they bring them to history. But our own people, those that they are still bringing, somebody mentioned Obasanjo. Somebody mentioned this. Why can't you bring these people? Say, Obasanjo, yes, you think that you are one Nigerian, this thing. Your blood is soiled with the Biafran people. Why not the president of Nigeria? Your blood is soiled. How about Yakubu Gowon? He has repented, but he has not repented enough. He has to apologize. Those who have apologized, people look at them a little bit with sympathy. But our people, those who they killed their sons and grandsons and the parents going there, hobnobbing, dancing, eating with them, it's abomination. So we need to get these people to get them to apologize. Face them. When are you going to apologize for the blood of Biafrans you killed? When are you going to do this thing? In their face. By the time we do this over and over again, it will start to register. Those human rights organizations all over the world will pick it up. With due respect, I still maintain, we have not made that noise to reach where it's supposed to reach at the right level. Yes, social media. No, but let us think about that. The most important thing for us is how do we do, or what do we do for the Biafran genocide to be recognized officially? As we speak, yes, it is among us, we are talking about it, but it has not been registered. It is not among the list of genocide cases. If it is, please, I stand to be corrected. But for the list I have been going, where I have been checking, Biafran genocide has not been registered. And it will not be registered until we make it to be registered. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Gemba. Now, I will give Obunnaya just a couple minutes if he wants to chip in. We want to keep to time. He's a part of the panelists. He spent a good chunk of time making his case. I don't know if he has any more thing to add before we wrap this panel discussion up. I'll give people on the panel 1 minute each if necessary. Bye.
Dr. Asoporo, let me come in for a minute. Sir, I have a specific question directed to Ibayaka or Ibayaka from the social media.
Please.
Yes. It says, please, can you ask Mr. Ibayaka the role of the youth in the ongoing genocide in Biafra land and his stand in political solution? Is he here? Did he get the question?
Bayaka, is still around?
Yeah, he's here.
Is he muted?
Mazi, can you hear us? Can you? Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay, you have 2 minutes to answer that question, please.
All right. I think the question is the way forward.
No, the question
the
says,
role of youths.
It says, Ibo Ayaka, what is the role of the youth in the ongoing genocide in Biafra land and your stand on political solution?
All right. I think the political solution is what I have mentioned in my speech, because of our leaders in Southeast. I've been able to discover their interests. Their interest is to occupy a political position, to make money, not for service. They are not bothered about the ethnic cleansing of our people. So 2023 for me is an opportunity for us to leadership from these political slave masters that have taken token in order to mortgage our future. And just so we need to do a effective and a very heavy mobilization to sensitize our people. These people that are serving the Western world through the Fulani political oligarchy. Again, we, like I have said before, that what we need to do to resort to self-defense. And like I said in my speech, get involved in a sensitization of the youth, because the youth, we are the people that to protect our fathers and our, because every responsibility of a nation to survive rests on the shoulders of the youth. So we are the youth, are the people external invasion. Like I said, we need to get involved in this mobilization. Via 3 days ago, I spoke with the President General of the Thai Union in Southeast, and what he told me that they are ready to cooperate with us, that this that it is the youth that will champion it, that they are there to say yes, they are in support. And that is why I said in collaboration with the Thai Union president, so that we can have men, youth at community level.
Thank you. Thank you very
our
much.
people. Thank you.
Our time is up. But before we go from this panel discussion, Dele, do you have any half a minute statement to make? And let me tell you where I'm going with all the information you supplied us. we're going to grab Britain to what is the right word now? I'm losing my lingo terms here. That decree, that edict must be abrogated. What's the right term there?
Abrogation is correct.
Okay, good. What we don't have to take this comment right here, right now, because we have to continue. But we want to collaborate with you to find a way to fight Britain to abrogate that evil edit or whatever it is they did. So, and then the next one that is related is still to work as a team to make sure what Dr. Egema said is done, to recognize Biafra genocide as genocide, because it's genocide to us, but the forces of darkness that govern the world, is it listed as genocide? Again,
let me quickly add here. Sorry to interject. My apologies.
We have only 1 minute, half a minute here. Go ahead.
Okay, the Biafran genocide meets all the criteria.
Of course.
Right. So if it meets all the criteria, why is it not? Somebody, somehow, somewhere is sitting on it. It's not allowing it. It is now up to us to say no, make noise. As Igbo said, ma okoro mgbe a na-alụrụ okoro nwanyị ọwụkwa ugbu a mgbe a na-alụrụ okoro nwanyị a sị ma okoro meghe ka onye ara aga alụnye ya nwanyị but ọwụkwa ugbu a with apology, you may not understand that. So that's what it is. If we don't make noise enough, those sitting on our destiny, on accepting or recognizing, succumbing to register the genocide of more than 3 million people as a genocide. And Britain, her hands are soiled. You remember what our sister said during that period, Sister Anya? Yes, Sister Anya said, yes, the blood of all the members of the royal family in the United Kingdom, the blood, not only of the Biafran people, of all the atrocities they committed all over the world, it will not leave them until the royal family crumbles.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, sir. And we are going to continue these conversations outside this summit. The summit is to sensitize ideas that we're going to use to really get to the bottom of our problems and find lasting solutions for them. Can we also thank all our panelists and our speakers? Dele Ogun, thank you so very much. We really appreciate how you brought us to the time Africa problem really began. And thank you also, Ibayaka, for making it clear on these other solid minerals and other things they're doing right now. That is the basis of perpetuation of the genocide that was started. And we want to thank you, Dr. Egemba, too, for how you have brought in some other historical factors and then sensitizing that Biafra genocide must be reckoned as genocide internationally. And of course, Mazungoye, thank you so very much for bringing that point so clear to us. And we're going to get a break here to get into some music, poem, some documentary before we get into the second part of this program. We've overshot here by some 5 minutes, but it's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Asopro, for an awesome job. And at this point, our guests and our participants may take their leave if they wish to, and keep joining us from the background. Because after the interlude, we're going to go into the second phase, where we'll be bringing other speakers and other participants for the same thing of what we just did. Biafra Genocide Summit is an ongoing thing, and we keep speaking, we keep crying until our voices are heard. So Ibayaka, thank you for the young blood you brought to this. And I'm so proud of you to be bold enough to speak from the motherland. we are not going to lose focus of our journey. Our journey and our goal is Biafra, our freedom. Give me freedom or give me death. And for Biafrans, we choose freedom.
Live. Yes.
So we must live to live and glorify God in Biafra land, whether the oppressors like it or not. At this point, Dr. Dele, thank you very much. And we listen to music, Facebook and YouTube. We don't have copyright to this music, but we permit us to use it. After that, we start our second part of the Genocide Summit. Thank you, guys.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. They are people with love and harmony. Oh, yeah. They saw greatness rise up to its purity. Freedom for the people of different culture. Ideal heritage, priors and oppressive. Oh, I see. A nation from the trigger of Africa. Rising with strength and might and power. In due time, nobody gonna praise us. Rather you all gonna praise us. With a flag, with a flag, with a flag, with a flag. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, it's my home. Yeah, Biafra is our home. I remember these way back, 96 and 7. Death toll and the blood couldn't kind of method. Mama screaming, child squealing, pops on the ground. 2.5 years, over 3 million's gone. Why? Cause we asked for our freedom, and we're going back to our sovereign kingdom. They shut us down when we tried to walk, say nothing. Sitting back in the crib, watching our suffering. Should I talk about the pains, dropping shells like rain? Suka had the first taste of a hero's blood. A bagana zobuni wave was stronger than flood, but a juke is too strong and fought them off on the chart. Thought the bloodshed's gone, then it came a king. 216 and the massacre, he started again. It's a bloody name, I couldn't cry tears. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause and we're trying to break him. It's our freedom, but the world was against us. With your flag over Africa, welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people of Zion sea. It is a nation that the Lord has chosen. For the people of Zion. It is a nation that the Lord has chosen. For the people of Zion. We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. I see the rising sun from Africa. Oh, this is our victory. Oh, I see the ocean in Africa. Oh, yeah. People of Biafra. See the light shine over the world. Oh, yeah.
we had it that Biafra is our home. Biafra is the journey. We keep saying it that the world conspired against my people and killed us. We will keep walking, we keep moving until we get to Biafra land. That is our destination. We must keep exposing the hidden hands of the third power. And what is the third power? That is the third power of crude oil, the third power of mineral resources, all the interest groups in Biafra land that are keeping us down because of what they are getting from our land. At this point, I invite Dr. Dares. Dr. Dares is one of the co-anchors and hosts, and he will navigate the second part of this summit. Dr. Dares, if you're here.
Yes, can you hear me? I've been having some problem with my equipment, and looks like my picture is gone completely. Can you hear me?
Okay, Dr. Diaz, we can't hear you. I will remove you from the stream, and we're gonna keep on walking because it looks like your system is very, very low. We cannot hear you. So we are getting into the second phase of the summit, the Biafran Genocide Summit. And in this second phase, we bring Mazi Mbakwe, the veteran, a veteran of a Biafra war, or Biafran genocide war. He is also involved in the Republic of Biafra government in exile as the chairman for Elder Council. We also bring Dr. Emeka Wigwe. Venerable Wigwe is also a veteran of the genocide program that took place in Biafra land. And they were the ones that had the first-hand information about this war, about this genocide. He is also involved in the Republic of Biafra government in exile as the leader and chairperson for the veterans and the chaplain of for the government. As we thank the President of Republic of Biafra government in exile, Honorable Tony Wisi, we also pledge your indulgence to remain with us because we know you participated very well in the first phase. We also need you in the second phase. So Dr. Asopuru, maybe you need to continue as Dr. Diaz is not here. I will interject, with you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah, no problem. You introduce the people who will be speaking, right?
I did a general introduction. That's why I say you took it up from there. That's what Dr. Diaz is supposed to speak. They sent in their profile. If you have it, go ahead. If not, they can introduce themselves if you don't. Thank you.
Okay, well, the second phase, as we all know, is a continuation of the first phase. These two phases separated with just interlude of music, that's all, and also to help people be able to be fitted in the small space we have for technology. And what we're going to do is to be sure we will just continue from where we stopped. And it's been a very fruitful time. I actually have had fun. I've enjoyed myself. And let's see, let's do this.
At this time, we bring in Venerable Wigwe to speak on the topic of the occasion today, Biafra genocide. Like I said, Dr. Wigwe is a veteran of the genocidal war that took place in Biafra land. He is our chaplain and the chairperson for the Biafran veterans. that you have 15, 20 minutes to talk to the world. Let the world know from first-hand experience of this program, of this genocide that happened to your people, to our people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mother Amaka. Really thank God for you and also for our president and all my colleagues here. I thank you all very much for this wonderful opportunity. I want to really begin by letting us know that genocide is nothing more than killing with force and without pity on other people, especially the weaker sides. Okay, and the Bible says we should not kill. When you look at Exodus chapter 20, verse 6, verse 13, the Bible specifically, through God, said, "Thou shalt not kill. You shall not murder." And we know that we don't have right to kill anybody because we didn't make any life, and we have no right to take any life. But this is what the world is doing. And also we read that the Convention on Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, which was approved many years ago, 1948, December, we read some of the contracting parties there telling us that we need to consider the declaration made by the General Assembly of the United Nations in its resolution 96, dated December 11, 1946, that genocide is a crime under international law, contrary to the spirit and aims of the United Nations and condemned by the civilized world. We recognize that all periods of history, genocides has inflicted great losses on humanity. We talk about genocide here. There are also two types: human and the man part of it and the military part of it, as the case of Nigeria is. In the case of Nigeria, you can see that the first genocide started because the people were very, very envious of the Igbos. We're talking about Nigerian situation now. The Igbos are the only people who can go every part of the world to settle. Especially in Nigeria, the Igbos are found every part in the north, developing, building up, setting up things right, making people comfortable, trade, everything. The Igbos are very fond of helping people. And what do you expect by the people who own the areas? Jealousy came in, and that every little thing, they will put it on the Igbos and they find a way to kill them. Why I'm interested in this is that I fought in this war, and I started, first of all, as a Biafran intelligence officer, but I went into the School of Infantry, and when I graduated, I was posted to Ekorekbane, from there to Central Anang, from there to Ngwa High School, many places, ended up in Mbise, and also carrying all this. The only place the war didn't reach is only Mbano area. So people were really forced to move, I said, from Enugu area, and that was the thing. What really concerns me, this genocide thing, is very emotional to me. And what really informed me was that especially in June 1966, there was a very bad one, genocide by people and the army. And then also in September of 1966, the army helped the civilians in the north to kill the Igbos, you know. And some of them, the worst I saw firsthand where the two big Gongoro lorries, you know, cranes were loaded with people, just put people on top of each other, people who were killed. And the worst I saw one time was a woman who was pregnant, and they cut her belly, her stomach, and brought out the child and broke the head of the child, you know, and killed the child. What a wicked thing that human beings can do to each other. That was very horrible. And what is the cause of all these things? First of all, the jealousy against the Igbos. And sometimes we may have to blame ourselves that instead of developing our areas, we go to develop other areas. And at the end, we leave the land without anything. In the north, many people went there to develop the area. We did everything to serve the people, to help the people. We thought we had a one Nigeria, a country. But we know that Nigeria was not a country, was not a place for everybody to get together. And what happened? When they were incited by the Wilson government of Britain, what did they do? They started killing the Igbos. You know, that's the civilian part. But the military also came in, and they put on Igbos what happened in the coup of 1966. Igbos had nothing to do with it. You know, it was by Midwesterners and some other people. But the only Igbo man there probably was in Zogwan. And these people, of course, they were all Igbos. They come from Midwest, as we call, from other places, but they were Igbos. Now, who suffered it since the Igbos were really thrown out, and the army was helping to kill people, to drive Igbos away from every place of the rest of the Nigerian government. You know, the federal military government, they did everything just to stop killing the Igbos. I mean, the federal government and the eastern government by our leader, Ojukwu, they tried everything to do to stop the killing of Igbos. And they couldn't stop. They went to Aburi for discussion. They came back. The federal government, who were all already trying to secede from Nigeria, they were encouraged to come back. And then they started changing the idea of the Aburi. And Emeka Ojukwu decided now to just implement what was discussed in Aburi. What was the next thing? The army, supported by the Wilson government in Britain, just decided to kill the Igbos. Imagine the people. Igbos had nothing. The Eastern people had no weapons. They had nothing to fight. And for anybody to fight somebody who had no weapons is a genocide. So the civilian genocide went about 3 times, 2 times in 1966 and 1 time in 1967. So some people who have spoken who thought that the genocide started in 1967, I think, I'm sorry, they misunderstood the whole thing, because it started in 1966. And then in 1967, we saw, because of the evil that these people were doing, you know, the other parts of Nigeria were doing evil, killing people. And so we decided to stay. We asked all the Igbos and people, Easterners, to come back home. Come back home and rest. We were not ready to fight anybody because we had no weapons, nothing. And the fact that these people, went to Wilson government, and they planned to have all the sophisticated weapons to fight us, to come to kill us. That was real genocide because we had nothing. The Biafran soldiers, those of us who fought, at first we had to capture the weapons from the Nigerian army, to fight them. We had nobody. We were blockaded from the sea, the land, air, every place. We had no weapons to fight. But the Western government was supplying the federal military government all the weapons, all the new weapons to fight and kill us. That was genocide because we had no weapons. We were not ready to fight them, and yet they were killing us. They were killing us. So if you check all these things, you see that this is pure genocide. And of course, the UN is a toothless bulldog. No matter what we talk, nobody can come to save us. Nobody came to help us. We could call all the big famous people who existed at that time, all the countries who could have come to help us, but none of them came. Only poor countries came, like small countries in Africa and the West Indies. Those people had no power. They had nowhere to send us any weapons or anything. Some of the countries in Africa recognized us, but still we had no power to fight anybody. We had to use the weapons that we captured to fight our enemy. The killing was too much. And the war kept quiet. So this is the genocide we're talking about. The Igbos, if they had stayed on their own, even right now, some of the problems which we're having in strengthening Biafra is that many of our people are outside the Igbo land. And so whatever we do to get our Igbo people together, some people are still thinking about the money they make in other parts of the country. And those people are killing them, sending them back to the eastern region. I remember we had, what we call abandoned property in Port Harcourt, in Lagos, and every places. We lost things and human beings. And we cannot count how many people we lost. Many times the Nigerian government was asking the Britain to keep on sending them money, sending them weapons to fight. And unfortunately, the Western government and others tried to hide this from the public, from the parliament, because at first the British government wanted Nigeria and Biafra to settle. They wanted everything to be done in peace. But because the Wilson government was an evil government supported by the Queen then, they went ahead clandestinely. They were sending weapons to Gowon, Gowon's Nigeria, and they were using these weapons to kill us. They killed us so much that, it was horrible. And everybody had to keep quiet because they were giving false information, lying to their government and telling the world that there was nothing happening. It was just simple skirmishes. But from July 7, the war started. In fact, after we declared independence in July, it was now terrible. These people keep on killing us. They thought it was a 6-day war or something's police action to just stop the Biafrans, but it wasn't. It took 3 years, and still we could not be defeated because the Biafrans know what they're doing. We don't owe anybody anything. We're trying to exist to help people to develop Nigeria, but Nigeria didn't want that kind of development. They wanted to just stay, don't work, but get the money. The Biafrans are very hardworking people, and that's why we were being killed. So before we start talking about all the other things, let's remember that one of the things that we need to look into in future is for the Igbo man, the Easterners, to come back to the East. We have a lot of place to develop. We have many places to really, we have new people, young people are developing new things. Let's not encroach into the other areas of the country which does not want the Igbo man. If we can hold to our own area, I think this killing will stop. But now it's not going to stop because we went into live in their places, and some of our people who are still living there, they want the Nigeria to continue to stay. But we want people to go back to their regions. We want Biafra to come to stay. We don't want any more genocide. We don't want people to kill us. You know, our people in the villages are suffering a lot, and nobody's looking after them. We can stay here and preach about genocide and the UN, and nobody can come to help us. We need to help ourselves. The Easterners, the Biafrans, have to come home, reorganize and protect their territory. We don't have any home now. For instance, we have the Republic of Biafra in exile. We have our office in the United States, in Washington, and yet our people in the villages are being killed. We get bad reports. So the genocide continues. The case of many, about 700 Biafran men who were killed in Asaba, who were just lined up and shot, was another horrible thing you can think about. You know, how can you use gun to kill somebody who has no weapon? They use knives, they use bayonets, they use all kinds of bad instruments, sophisticated instruments by Britain, and Russia helped them, many other countries, but they blockaded us. They made sure that we had no help from outside. And yet, they still came to kill us. We are calling the world to listen, to know that we don't want this type of thing to continue. Because as some have said, this killing is still going on. And people are just looking at us. Or people don't hear about us because we are blacks. We are in Africa. If this is happening in other places, like in Russia and other places, they'll send billions, millions of dollars to help buy equipment and support the other people. Well, this is happening in Africa, and Africa is one of the areas to be eliminated because people think that we're not human beings. So we need, Biafrans need to come together, come back home, come back home. The LGBIE is working right now. So we need to listen. Everybody come onto this government so that we can organize ourselves. We don't want people to be working as a lone wolves on their own to think that they can handle this. It's not possible. We can only use our mouth to talk, and the enemy will keep on killing us. So please, we're asking people, the genocide is still ongoing. And unless you were in the war to hear the sound of news, the new weapons that came against us when we were fighting, these new weapons, some of them, you hear their sound, you will think that you will dig the hole in the ground and hide there. These were new weapons coming from Britain and from Russia. We had nobody to help us. We have many young children who could not eat. They had kwashiorkor. That was another killing. People were dying, and the Biafrans were displaced. That genocide also. People of Biafran origin were sent to other countries. Some of them we don't know. Some of them have forgotten their homes, forgotten their parents. You know, This is evil. And we're asking the world to listen, to change their posture in looking at Biafra. We fought that war. We couldn't help because we couldn't stay in our home to allow people to come to kill us in our homes. So we had to use whatever weapons we could manufacture or we could capture from the enemy to fight them. And that's what held us. So a lot of Biafrans who think that this is over and are working in every other part of the country, and they're not coming home to help their people in the Igbo land, in the Biafran area, I think they're making a big mistake. When you stand against Biafra, when they finish all of us and replace our land with cows and goats, they will come there and kill you in their own territories. So we're asking people, the genocide is not over. Come home now. Let us try to get things done. We need to talk about these things so that God may help us. It's God that's fighting for us right now. And we need to trust God. Want to see more Biafrans also repent, trust God, and give their lives to God, because we don't have our own lives by ourselves. Many young people today, they just walk out and their corpses come home, or they go to the mortuary. We don't want this type of thing. We want people to be reasonable. People come back home to Biafra. Let us discuss. Let's talk about things. Nobody can hold this country, Nigeria. Nobody can make it work. Please, may God bless you today. I want this program to keep on going. And may we learn something today and remember where we started. Because when we don't remember where the rain started beating us, we will not know where it will stop. May God bless you all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
That's awesome.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend.
Wow.
We gave you time to vent. You really had your time to vent from the perspective of a veteran, a person that witnessed it and lived it. That's so passionate. That's so emotional. For those of us that didn't see it, I know how I'm mad, how upset I get when I read things. Moreover, when I read the book, What Britain Did to Biafrans, and I can now live your life to see you that had the machine gun, that had to work on corpses to move. I see the passion, and we deliberately wanted you to vent. And thank you for that awesome job, sir. We will call you again. Be ready to come in. I bring my co-host, Rosemary. Can you tell us what is happening on social media, please, before we introduce other speakers? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mwada Ndidiamak. A lot is going on in the social media, and people are venting and they're, commenting on their own different, the way they think in their mind. I see people here from Japan. I see some here from France. And then, but the point I wanted to make is today we are hearing all these things, and people have come here to tell us about the Biafra genocide, what went that time and how it's still going on. And we know that there have been countries that have gone through genocide before us, countries like Bosnia, Rwanda, Cambodia, countries like Darfur, Sudan, countries like Israel, and other places. I hope that their presidents, their countries, their citizens are watching what is going on today. And I believe that they can also feel, empathize, and see where we are coming from, that our people have been slaughtered and killed and massacred since 1967 through 70s and continued the ongoing genocide in Biafra land today, and nobody is talking about it, and people have refused to recognize the Biafran genocide and register it as one of the genocide of the greatest, the worst genocide that has ever happened apart from the one that has happened to the Jewish community in those days. And now the Jewish Igbos, the Jewish Biafrans, and the Christians in these areas are still being persecuted because they are Jewish. Jewish living in Biafra land, the Igbo Jewish, they are being killed and slaughtered, and we are here still trying to bring it to the light. So we are talking about today, when the United President Joe Biden, is listening and is hearing all these things, how do he react to it? We are trying to know, what do he think? What is going through his mind that the United States, that's supposed to be advocating and protecting countries that are under genocide, that are going through persecutions, and they are here keeping quiet. What are others doing? Like the Russians, we know that we don't know what the role they played in those days, but they are part of the things that have caused us problems. And then we talk about the Prime Minister of Britain, Rishi Sunak. What is he thinking? What is going on in his brain? What is he thinking about at this time? The Chinese president and all others, we want them to speak. We want them to talk. And we are also bringing it to our friends in social media to please let us know what they feel. We'll ask your questions. Call into this program today. Share this program. Let it go viral. Let it go viral. Let people hear about what is going on, that in this 22nd and 21st century, that people are still being slaughtered, massacred, and genocide committing, ethnic cleansing, annihilation of a whole race. That is what we are talking about, and we want people to react to it and follow up and tell us what you think about. Thank you, Wada and Didamaka. Take it from there.
Thank you, Wada Rosemary. At this point, we want people to know that our phone number is up for calls, +1 202 787 8909. WhatsApp call only. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube. You can watch all the things Umada have been doing, or the government have been doing, and then make your own determinations. At this point, we welcome Bishop Samuel to the studio. But I'm going to call Mazin Bakwe, the veteran himself, and the chairperson to this government Elder Council. He lived the war. He fought the war. I can't even call it war. He saw the genocide. He survived the genocide. It still makes him upset up to now because the killing has not stopped. Mazin Bakwe, I want you to come in 10 minutes to tell the people what they do not know about this untold story about how the Biafrans were slaughtered and that they keep killing us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my sister Ndidamaka, and also my other sister, Rosemary Williams. Yes, you are correct, Madam Ndidamaka. I want to refer to a statement that Rosemary made when he called on other African countries, other nations that have gone through genocide, gone through war of annihilation, and have survived. So I'm calling on those countries because here you are. This is your baby sister, put it that way, Biafra, going through the same thing that you've been through. We want you to lend some sympathy to us and come in and help us to be free. And so with that in mind, I want to tone it down a little bit. You know, other speakers have been so vibrant and so agitated, but I'm going to kind of tone it down and take it from where it all started. I can remember 1960 as a young teenager, finishing up primary school. That was the first in educational system in Nigeria. You go through the primary school, then you go through secondary school of 5 years, and then of course you're ready for college or university. So that was my final year in primary school when, and I happened to be living in the north, in a place called Bida. It's a Nupe land, now in Niger State. That was the 1960 October 1st. We all dressed up in our white and khaki, clean. And then we handed over the Nigerian flag, the green and white flag. And we marched the street of Bida, singing the Biafran anthem, which was Nigeria will help the dear motherland. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we live. Wow. No, that wasn't in brotherhood. In acrimony, in hostility, we live. And that's what has featured all these years. Barely 4 years after the independence was the coup, the first coup in Nigeria. I was already in high school in a place called Offa, in now Kwara State, a Yoruba land. You all remember Afonja. That is Afonja area. So the place was turned from what used to be to more or less a Fulani land. All their Obas replaced with emirs. Anyway, so 1966, my final year in secondary school, I was getting ready to take the West African School certificate, hoping everything all gonna be hunky-dory. I graduated from secondary school because I wasn't a bad student. I was a very strong student. I was already visualizing how I'm going to enter university and graduate as an engineer. You know, everybody was tending towards their own areas. So some of my friends were going to the medical field to become doctors. And another thing struck. That was the program. It started far north, northeast and northwest, and then gradually gravitated to the southern part of the country. Igbos were massacred. They were handpicked and massacred. Occasionally, they will kill a non-Igbo that looks like an Igbo. Some of them were Yorubas. So it continued, and we were very few Igbos in that secondary school. We thought we could make it. We could wait maybe 1 or 2 months before our final, because we were getting ready to take our final exam. But that will not happen. It got to a point where we had to go to the principal, say, look, we can't stand it, because the trend that was coming from the north was coming with people injured, people with amputated hands, some with a slashed face. So, and the railway station was not too far from the secondary school. So in the evenings, we'll walk down there to see, you know, people, train arriving and people coming, coming out. And the picture was not pretty. So it got to a point where we couldn't bear. We went to the principal, said, look, we want to leave. We can't take it anymore. He said, okay, because he couldn't, help. And so rather what he did was to give us part of our room and board fees that we paid to enable us charter a vehicle that will now take us all the way across through the Niger Bridge into the eastern part of the country. So that's how I ended up. By the time I got home, my people were worried. My parents were worried. They thought they would never see me again. But it was a surprise. So that's my experience of the program. And then the following year was started after Ojukwu went to Aburi with Gowon, seeking to make peace and then get back to what used to work for us, the regional system. And they had a good meeting with General Ankara of Ghana, who actually drove them to the, to the airport to come back to Nigeria. But before they got home, Gowon has already conferred with the Britain and all the henchmen. And he said, no, don't do that. Don't allow. So when Ojukwu was saying, on Aburi I stand, Gowon was telling him, on Aburi you will fall. you will die. So that's how the war started. Ojukwu had no option other than to declare the Republic of Biafra. And Gowon came down with his troops and started slaughtering. So at this point in time, that was 67. I did not want to join the army because I'm the last born, and my parents weren't willing to let me go. But it got to a point where I made a decision, no, there's no point waiting until I'm slaughtered or I'm conscripted. So I went to join the BOF. This an arm of the section of the army that there with more or less you are trained to be a guerrilla, to get behind the enemy line and then maybe get information for our troops. So I did that training for 2 weeks. It was a crash program. And at the end of that program, we were getting ready to be deployed. I was selected to go into Amora's course. So I ended up no more down at the Army Electrical and Mechanical Engineer Workshop, Birmingham, and trained there as a gun fitter. So when Umuahia fell, we moved the workshop to Mbano. And then we were there. All we do is to make sure that those guns are serviced, they are able to fire. Because when you crawl with your rifle on the ground, and then you get sand into the firing mechanism, you will not fire. Or sometimes the artillery weapons, they get stuck with the empty shell. So they have to be retrieved and serviced and then put back in the front line. So that's what I did. And when Mbano fell, we moved the workshop to Olu. And barely 3 weeks to go to Olu, the war ended. And yours truly had to walk home from Olu back to Umuahia, which was a 2 days journey, barefoot, because you couldn't be found with your army uniform or army boots. So we had to strip that. And so that's how my experience of the war. But during this war period, we were filled with loss of air. In Umuahia, they will come 2 or 3 times a day with Russian jets and then Egyptian pilots. They will come so close to the ground and then they will bomb and kill people. So it was very, very gruesome. A lesson that we should all not forget. Unfortunately, Nigerian government refused to allow the history of the war to be taught in school till today. So how do we compare the Biafran genocide with Holocaust? Genocide is general. Holocaust is specific. It only dealt with the Jews, what they suffered from the Nazis. So, but when you look at the 6 million they claim 6 million Jews that were killed, or were more or less roasted. They were put in gas chambers. And then you are looking at the 3 to 5 million Biafrans killed during the Biafra. No, that's estimated. We don't have any good record of what happened. Those that died under the firepower of the air raid, they weren't accounted for. Those children that starved to death in the various villages, they weren't accounted for. So we actually have more than 5 million people that died. And then if you are looking at 5 million people that died between 1966, when the program started, and 1970 when the war ended, that's about 4 years. So now you are looking at 5 million people killed in 4 years' time, compared to 6 million Jews killed in a period between 1933 and 1945, which is a period of 12 years. So if you interpolate or you do some linear regression, for those who do statistics or those in math and interpolate, you will find out that the 5 million that we claim may have died in Biafra land, it will have been actually 15 million if you expand it to try to weigh it against the Holocaust. So you see that the Biafran genocide is worse than the Holocaust. And yet, the international community keep their blind eye and nose and ears to that. So we really have a problem. We really do have a problem. And the reason for their silence is because of what they are getting from Africa, what they are getting from Nigeria, what they're getting from Biafra land by extension, because Biafra land is rich. It's rich in oil and gas and other minerals. So it will be to their best interest to keep a blind eye to what is happening to Biafrans, to the genocide, which is still continuing today. See, that's again what makes it worse than the Holocaust happened in a period of time, and then everything was saved. The history, they have a historical record on that. They have, you see those artifacts in museums. They do movies on that. But when it comes to Biafra genocide, it's very sketchy. So this is where my people, we should come to reason, because my dad said, if you are laid down at a spot that is not comfortable to you, get up and realign yourself, reposition yourself. You don't lay down there and complain, cry, woe is me, woe is me. Get up and relocate yourself. And that's what we have failed to do because of the level of corruption, because of the level of us not having that mental ability to think, because of greed. So the day we wake up to think seriously, to realign ourselves, we will do much better. And this leads me to the plea on the international community. Biafrans are safe people to work with. We are very, very intelligent. We are very hardworking. And we don't make trouble with anybody. We just want to live and let live and do our business. So I am appealing to the international community. We have what it takes. And I believe in that spirit of symbolism. That is where two organisms can exist for their mutual benefit. We have a lot to offer. And of course, you guys have a lot to offer us in the way of technology. So I will appeal to the international community, the global community. Thank Biafra. We can be a good partner with you because we have what it takes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazimbabwe. Thank you for that awesome presentation of the war that you lived and you saw, the war that you nearly died from. I can see, we can perceive the passion and the pain that all you fought for seems to be going in vain because it is still ongoing. The next speaker should be Bishop Emmanuel. He's having problem with his technology, but before then, if we can see he can make it back, let me play this. This was a poem sent by our sister, passionate about what we're doing, and she lived it as well. She couldn't be here today, but she sent her poem, her perspective in a poetic form. So this will serve as the next speaker. Let's listen to her, please. I want everybody to mute themselves while we play this. Thank you.
I choose to title this narrative, Terror in the Air. It is not fiction. It is a personal experience as I remember it. I don't remember the year or the month, but this is what I remember. In what appeared to be a family briefing, all the adults were in pensive mood, and my father was talking about taking cover. Much later, I came to understand what taking cover meant. Nana, my elder brother, and I were impatient to go out to play. But each time we made any move, Nana received a sharp reprimand to stay one place. Finally, we managed to slip out, and I tagged along. We were always like each other's shadows. Wherever Nana was hiding or whatever he was doing, Nana, that's me, was always part of it. So it was that day, both of us headed to no particular destination as soon as we were able to slip out of a very boring adult meeting. Nana had this habit of acting the protective big brother whenever we were a bit far from my father's house. So he was holding my hand when suddenly we heard the droning of an aeroplane, and both of us turned eyes skywards to request the aeroplane to throw down some goodies for us, as we had done on the few occasions we had the fortune of seeing aeroplanes fly past. We had never received nor expected any response from these planes that always looked like tiny birds in the sky. But this one was very different. It was flying low. We could actually make out the features of the aeroplane. Suddenly, it began to drop huge objects that exploded and engulfed the whole village in fire. It was also firing gunshots as it kept sweeping and swooping to and fro. Two adults that were shouting on us to run home dropped and lay in the pool of their own blood. One had her hand chopped off. A woman from the stream with a pot of water on her head fell right in front of us. In that moment of confusion, my brother let go of my hand, and we drifted off in different directions, with people scampering helter-skelter. I was wondering what the commotion was all about. I followed the moving crowd, believing that my brother was in the crowd and would soon find me and hold my hand. But that did not happen. We had lost each other in that commotion. I kept moving with the crowd that generally ignored me. The day was already far spent and night was approaching by the time an uncle saw me wandering about, having lost all sense of direction. He offered to take me home, but I complained to him that I needed to find my brother Nana first so that we could go home together. He lifted me on his shoulders, reassuring me that Nana had already been found and was at home. Everyone was looking for me and fearing that I was dead. So I was taken back to a home that was partially burnt down and the roof blown off. That's how I survived the first terror, but many more were to come. This story is a recollection of a small girl's experience during the war. That small girl was me. This event took place in a remote village in Biafra. The village was so remotely located that when the federal troops finally entered, the residents simply moved inside their farm plantations, where they stayed, living relatively normal life, if anything could be called normal in the circumstances, until the end of the war in 1970. What is significant about the narrative is not that the air race or the loss of lives, but the fact that Nigeria and their British allies carried war to a community that was 100% civilian population, comprising mainly women, children, and the aged. My understanding is that wars, whether international or civil, have rules of engagement. That Nigeria totally disregarded all rules of engagement in their prosecution of the Biafran war makes one to wonder why none of the principal actors had been dragged to the ICC or to The Hague to answer questions about war crimes. That genocide was committed against Biafra by Nigeria is beyond debate. It is an established fact. Genocide was a pastime for the Nigerian troops. A well-documented case is that of Asaba massacre. What many people do not know is that many Asaba beautiful women were forcefully taken to wife by their killers. Very unfortunate. In the previous story, in the narrative that I just gave, I told the story of the first terror. There is another story, which I titled Kwarapo, Kwarapo.
That was a passionate voice message sent by a sister who couldn't make it here today, who is supposed to be among the panelists or cabinets that would speak. She sent that. She lived it as a little girl. And you heard it, or she said, what is most bothering, or what is most heart-aching is not only the people that were killed, is that nobody has been held accountable for numerous people that have been killed. She said it, that nobody is even saying, I am sorry, including Gowon, including Obasanjo, including Britain, including Buhari. Nobody has ever thought that the Igbos, the Biafrans that were massacred, deserve, I am sorry. Take that responsibility. They keep calling us a dot in a circle. They keep threatening us. The world kept quiet about all this. If I will quote what Colonel Effiong said, he said, Biafran genocidal war is there. If you do not treat it well, their children will rise up to start from where it started. And that is exactly what is happening today. Biafra genocide cannot go under the carpet. Biafra independence cannot be swept under the carpet. We will keep speaking. We will keep doing what we're supposed to do until people are held accountable for slaughtering civilians, men, women, helpless women, children, pregnant women, the aged, by boycotting food supply to Biafrans, killing them in mass by starvation. And yet, as I'm talking to 50 plus years down the drain, nobody has been held accountable. It is most unfortunate. And that is why this summit is titled Biafra Genocide Summit, the untold story of man's inhumanity to man. And the world is keeping quiet. At this point, I bring Dr. Asopur, if he's in the studio, to take it up from there, sir. Thank you.
You backstage me. Am I from stage now? Okay. One thing that is great about these two presentations are what we didn't get from the first session. Clear explanation of what a genocide is. Clear explanation of what the real experiences of young people were at the time. Both of these men were young people. They were not of military age, as it were. Genocide, Biafra genocide, has been continuous. When you go killing people who are not armed, who are not soldiers, who are not engaged in a military war, and they belong to a particular ethnic group, that is genocide. So this, as we are going to be rounding up this particular summit, what are the takeaways we have here? There are quite a number of them. And we're going to see how to use those to move forward. Republic of Biafra government in exile, located in Washington, D.C., 1717 Pennsylvania Avenue, is open for business. If you have questions, you may walk in or write a letter or send email or send WhatsApp message. Who wants violence? We have had enough. The genocide and killings were enough. We don't want any more war genocide. We want to be Biafra. Do you know the irony of the world? Britain or United Kingdom that perpetuated this evil could not engage in a voluntary union with the rest of Europe. Quickly, hand counts of years, they went Brexit. Really? Yet they expect us to be in perpetual bondage for over 100 years with people that we don't have anything in common with, so that they use their divide and conquer to continue to exploit Biafra, Nigeria, and Africa. Something must give. And do you know what is it? The new Prime Minister of Britain, whose ethnicity and country of origin is India. And India suffered heavily in the hand of Britain. I hope he can identify with us. I hope we can get our people who are now in parliament to do with us. Let's abrogate or nullify or null that edit that created the amalgamation. Let's assemble people who can walk through the process of the law to challenge it in British courts or international courts. We must stop the genocide. We must do whatever it takes to get this genocide recognized internationally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We must do whatever it takes to get this story across. At this point, Dr. Sopru, we got to call the speakers so that we can start the discussion. But before we start the discussion, I'll call Mother Rosemary. Can you tell me what people are talking on social media? Can you tell me what our people are saying? Because this is a serious matter that must be sent to the world. Talk to us, sister, from the social media. Thank you. If they have questions, we'll bring questions, because we got to go to the panelists, to the guests to start the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Wada Ndidiamaka. And the question I have here is still about the genocide and what the impact of the genocide that one person wanted to find out is trying to tell us that Nigerian government are planning to do election next year in 2023. They're asking if we would like to go for that, if we support the election, or if we want our freedom through a referendum and exit. So that's the question I have here. But I know, I don't know who will answer them that.
Yes, when we will throw that question to our speakers, and the speakers, I'll bring Dr. Gemba if he's still in the studio. I want Dr. Gemba to come in and partake in this discussion. So this discussion is going to be Dr. Gemba, Mazimbakwe, and Dr. Wiwe. This is a moment people are going to ask questions, including people from the studio can ask you guys questions. And the first question came from the social media monitoring by Sister Rosemary, that somebody asked,
Oscar S.
Yes, that now Nigeria that is killing us. Why? And they're planning for election. Are they going to plan election on the blood of our youths flowing the streets or what? This goes to Dr. Ekemba, please.
Thank you very much. And I will give you my honest and sincere personal opinion. I don't represent any individual, any group or so, but I am speaking in my capacity as Dr. Chukwume Ekemba, a free Biafran citizen. Yes, first and foremost, I want to make reference to one of our Biafran activists and one of his work, which he titled Biafra or Igbo Presidency, What Does Biafrans Want? I don't know if any of you have had opportunity to read that book. Now, first and foremost, we are under occupation. We are still Nigerian, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, and it is the most honorable or gospel truth. We are still Nigerian citizens. Those of us, those majority of the Biafrans that are living in Biafra land, they are still holding Nigerian passport and traveling as Nigerians, because the passport you hold identify you as the citizen of that country. So in that, having said that, and it is based on that, I am going to give this my opinion. Now, again, because of the way Nigeria is currently structured, we don't have much leverage. And given also the fact that we are still, Biafra is still part of Nigeria, our people are still suffering under Nigeria, and will continue to suffer until we extricate ourselves from Nigeria. What I will say that anybody who feels that they want to participate in that election, it will do them any good, or they will think that at least until Biafra comes, that then it may give them some sense of, if you like, call it security, or the best of, at times you are faced with two devils. Which one do you choose? The less of the two devils. If you think that voting in the election will be sort of giving the best of the lesser evil, go for it. If you don't, it is entirely up to you, because to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my understanding, election in Nigeria is not compulsory. And there are some countries that election is compulsory. I think Australia is one of them. You have to. And in most other countries, it's not compulsory. So it is a free will. If you want, you go. If you don't want, you don't go. But you ask yourself, if you go, what will you benefit? If you don't go, what will you not benefit, or what will you benefit, whether you go or you don't go? That is going to be individual judgment. So I will leave that to individuals to make that individual judgment. That is the way I will put it. But while we are still Nigerians, those who are still living in Nigeria, who still have Nigerian passport, who cannot do without, who are still living under the occupational rules of engagement as it is in Nigeria. So they have to exercise that. Until such a time we will extricate ourselves, then we can make that judgment. Because the way Nigeria is structured, if you vote, even if the 5 people voted and the 3 voted yes, election has taken place and it will be validated. So they will have to make their judgment based on that. So that is what I am going to say as an individual. But if I am in Nigeria, will I vote? That's a different question. But I live in the United Kingdom. It will be wrong for me to say nobody should go and vote in Nigeria, because those who live in Nigeria will be impacted by the decision they will make. So let them make that decision, so that when the time comes, they will live under the impact of the decision they make. Because if we or external bodies, individuals, groups impose decision on them, they are not going to be there to defend or help them, whatever the outcome is going to be. So let people have that free will to make that choice, knowing that the aftermath of it, they will live for it. That is what the way I am going to structure that answer. That is the way I am going to answer that question. Let people who wears the shoe knows where it pinches them. Let them know how they are going to fix it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gemba. Thank you. Well said. It's a time that you got to use your self-determination, your willpower, and your mind to take a decision. And Mazimbako, I'm coming to you before I come to Dr. Wiwe. Mazimbako, can you tell the world the impact of election in an ongoing genocidal society? What do we stand to benefit? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have viewed this, we have deliberated over this issue. While I take side with the last speaker, Dr. Gemba, I like to warn our people that if they vote and happen to have their candidate chosen as the next president of Nigeria, I like to warn them and remind them that that person is going to be sworn in with the 1999 Constitution, which has held us bondage all these years. So the new president is not going to perform miracles. He might try to change the 1999 Constitution, but the question we ask ourselves, how possible will he be able to do that? Given the powers that be are of the opinion that they are born to rule, and therefore everything will have to revolve around their reign as the authority in Nigeria. So it's up to them, because whatever decision they make today, they will live after it tomorrow, and it will come back to haunt them. So they are welcome to vote their conscience. But the fact remains that if I were in Nigeria, I would probably not vote, because I know it wasn't going to do me any good. But as a Biafran in this struggle, whether they select the president from the Igbo-speaking area, or from the Fulani-speaking area, or from the Yoruba-speaking area, it's not going to change a thing. Nigeria is dead and gone. So it is either Biafra or Biafra. Let's not kid ourselves, hoping that somebody is going to perform miracle, and then it's all going to be hunky-dory. No. We've been in this mess since time immemorial, since 1960. That is when they told you clearly they are born to rule you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mazi. Thank you. You said it all. That it is Biafra or nothing. And I come to you, Dr. Wiwe. The two speakers, Dr. Gemba and Mazi Bakwe, have said that in as much as they do not support anything other than Biafra, they are not going to say vote or do not vote. Use your mental determination. My question to you, Dr. Wiwe, is this. What is the role of those who have chosen to implement no vote, sit at home? What is the role and the impact of this action in the ongoing genocide in Biafra land and the electoral process? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Wada Amaka. Thanks to my colleagues here. The only thing I can say here is very important. The question is very, very important. But I want to warn that I think we mistook the whole thing. We made a big mistake from the beginning. What the stage we were I really fault a lot of even pastors and clergy and everybody who even preach voters card in churches and everywhere, telling people obtain a voters card. And I know these things don't work really. Whether we vote or not in Nigeria, it doesn't make difference because before the election is called, the results are already out. That's one. Number two, we need to do more education on our people. A lot of people think the way they're getting money is more important to them. Those who receive bribes and those who are paid to vote. We need to do a lot of education and let them know. I think somebody here has said that the way the Constitution of Nigeria is now, even Obama or Joe Biden or no American president can rule that country under the present constitution. So whether we vote or not, and personally, I will not vote because the whole thing is very, very deceitful. It's falsehood that we're selling to people, telling people to go to vote. And first of all, the votes will not be counted. The people's voters' cards are being thrown away, especially the Igbos. At that period, they will send many Fulanis or many people who don't live in the east in Biafra land to come and occupy Biafra in order to vote for whoever they want. Voting in Nigeria does not make sense to me for now. First, we need to change the constitution. Secondly, we need to educate people so that we can go into either ask people to really think, how can we either referendum or plebiscites? These are the two areas we should have been working on. And I know some people raised up the issues and then they died quietly like that. Nobody mentioned it again.
Venerable, I want you to answer the question. I said, what is your opinion on implementing no voting in an ongoing genocide and electoral process in Biafra land? Because there are some groups that are planning to implement sit-at-home no voting. And then we have some group come up to implement no voting and sit-at-home in an ongoing situation whereby genocide is going on. Sir, what is your stand on this case?
I understand what you're saying. The only thing is that for those people who cannot extricate themselves from this evil government, whether they vote or not, they are still going to be under the evil government. That's what I'm saying. So it does not matter whether they vote or not. But for me, if I was there, I will work hard for Biafra to come before the vote. We need to really stand strong to work for Biafra before the vote. If we don't, then people will be forced to vote and vote their, I wouldn't say their conscience, but they will vote wrongly, and it's not right. So I pray that God may help us from this evil genocidal situation.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Dr. Asopro, in the before I will bring in the president, we have 4 more minutes. I want you to take 2 minutes, and Rosemary takes 2 minutes to address the same before we bring the convener of this summit, the president, to give his vote of thanks. Thank you.
the situation is what they call Odudu Berenam. Do you want to leave it there or do you want to kill it?
That's true.
So, but this is what must happen. Number one, Biafrans must not be the source of killing each other. That is the golden rule. People should exercise their own individual will to vote or not to vote. But to compel people not to vote by killings or what other methods is wrong. It's as bad as the genocide we're talking about. The second one that is akin to it is this. Until we get Biafra, Nigeria will continue, including the Biafra landmass and the people. Therefore, if Biafrans don't vote at all, these people will just write in any names they like, and they will be the people still controlling the whole region. So, the only thing I know I'm feeling strongly about is that the present government is not going to allow voting and change of government to take place. That's the bigger do that I see. So let us continue to prepare on how to jump on the opportunity to have our Biafra independence. Now, if they hold credible election, people who are home should exercise that prerogative to vote or not to vote. I am against killing people concerning the election. That is my stance. We will work on plebiscite or referendum the way we are staging ourselves to do it without violence. And we have the brain capacity and we have the legs to do it if we foster our energy into doing that. Those are my thoughts.
Well articulated, sir. Very, very well articulated. Thank you for that input. That killing to implement sit at home, killing to implement do not vote is as bad as genocide itself. That is a take right there. And we must tread with caution because Biafra land will never be another war zone. Biafra land, battleground will never be Biafra land again. We are trying to hold people accountable for the one they committed in 1967 and to 70. We will not accept Biafra land being a bloodbath again. Sister Rosemary, please use a minute to make your comments on this, and because I'll bring the president and the convener for his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Didamaka, and thank you, the panelists, for throwing light in this question that one of our guests have asked. My own take here is whether you vote or you do not vote, already the results are there, standing, waiting. They have already put in places who will be wherever they will be. So why will somebody go out and put your life in a harm's way? So I'm not saying that you should vote or you should not vote, but let me tell you here, when they voted the last time, I think 2 years ago, and when Making Hedionha won election, he was removed. After 4 to 6 months, he was removed. He won the election, and the Nigerian government had to put whoever they want to put in that place, as long as the person is carrying out their bids. So, Biafran people, listen. When you see where there is fire burning, remove yourself from there. If you are going to do something, vote or no vote, and you see people that are being something going wrong, stay home. If you stay home, nobody will harm you. If you go out there and get harmed, then it will be a social media talk. Somebody died. 2 days, 3 days, the person is gone. And maybe nobody talks about you again. So like the people that have already spoken have said, use your senses. Do not expect me to come and tell you to vote or not to vote. I am not there. I'm in the United States of America. You are the ones that is wearing the shoe. Fix it where it pinches you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wada Rosemary. That is what democracy is all about. You speak your mind, it's your opinion, and it should be respected. Everybody have their own individual opinions, and when people speak their minds and speak their opinions, it should be taken on that value. If Dr. Gemba is still here, I want him to use 30 minutes, a minute to make his closing remark. Then I'll bring Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Seconds.
Thank you very much, everyone. This is a very wonderful event. Thank you for the Republic of Biafra government in exile for organizing it. And Biafra is a free-thinking nation, and the citizens are like that. Both the panelists and our multimedia audience also have their individual and respective opinion on issues. So, the most important thing for us is to focus on organizing, arranging, on putting in place a voice that will speak for the whole of the Biafran nation, a voice that will crystallize and bring together the different fragments in the Biafran nation so that we can put together, organize, arrange our synergy, put it together so that we can achieve that freedom we are looking for. And it is only when we are properly coordinated, it is only when we come to speak with a voice that will represent us, that the international community will start to listen to us. The celebrities of this world, the billionaires of this world, they will do little or nothing for us if we don't put in the big main work, the foundation. We have to lay the foundation, build on it. Then for for others to come and add on it and lend their voice. These people. Remember, we have celebrities. As a matter of fact, we have the Chimamandas of this world. We have a lot of celebrities in the field of arts, in the field of sports, in the field of business, in the field of science, in all the universities in America. We have Igbo professors. Where are they? Where do you stand? We need to get them to work with us. When we get a professor, mount there, use Biafra as a point of reference to their references and listen. They are. Because when here in the United Kingdom, I introduced myself as a Biafra. I say, where is the Biafra? You go and look for it. Oh, yeah, it was a yes, that is it. But we are a nation. If we individually, wherever we are, identify ourselves first as a Biafran, let them go and look for it. Then we will be doing what we need to do. But we will do more. And there's a lot for us to do. And the Republic of Biafran government have got a very monumental task. And of course, it is all of us. The government is who? The government does not exist in a vacuum. It is all of us. So if we join hands together, work with the government, support the government, back the government, give it the force that it requires to function, it will function and get us to the finishing line. With the help of God, we will get there. Thank you very much, and God bless Biafra.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Gemba. Well said, very passionate, and I know the role you have been playing, a gallant son. You may not be out there in the social media, but we know what you are doing. We understand it, and we say, keep directing and keep keeping you safe, because unity in progress. There is nothing you cannot achieve if you're together. We know in every 12 there might be Judas, but Judas is still counted as a disciple of Jesus Christ. So even if we have Judases, we will not lose focus on the ball. At this point, I bring the President of the Republic of Biafra government in exile, President and the convener of this summit, which is an ongoing thing every month, President Tony Wisi. If you're in the studio, please, open your camera and do your vote of thanks. Thank you.
Coach Wada and Didi Maka, I'm grateful to you for an excellent job today, for hosting this inaugural summit. We have done it, we have achieved it. It's a landmark now. I'm grateful also to our brother, Dr. Sopro, who has done a magnificent job comparing this event with you. Wada, Rosemary's contribution on social media and bringing color and pageantry to the occasion. I'm grateful to our speakers, especially Dele Ogun, who ordinarily you would think, what is my business here? He's a Yoruba man, but he's a Yoruba man with an exception. He is a phenomenal man. Really grateful to him. And so, for our friends around the world, if you need a lawyer, please check out Dele Ogun's practice. And also for those in the Yoruba nation, check out his non-profit fatherland.org. I'm grateful to our elders and veterans who are here, whom I love so much, who inspire me because of their sacrifice and their service to our people, Venerable Wigwe and Mazin Bakwe, our uncles, for the excellent work they have done over the years for, being the front line and giving everything, giving everything for this struggle, and continue to lead with example, continue to set examples for us with their passion, with their energy. I'm grateful to them. Dr. Egemba, I love you so very much, and I love what you shared about working together. It's so it came right home to me. That is exactly what we need in this struggle. All the different aspects of it must come together. We must work together as one team, because the strategy of the enemy is divide and conquer. And so, if you can divide the people, you can conquer them. But if the people come together, then you cannot conquer them. So, I'm grateful to you, Dr. Gemba, for magnificent contribution. And so to Iwayaka also, I'm grateful to you, Iwayaka, for your participation and contribution, bringing youth, energy, and vitality to this struggle, and tremendous intelligence and leadership to this work. And for all our friends on social media who've been tweeting, posting, is giving us thumbs up, sending us heart, and all of that. And those who ask questions, thank you so very much. This summit was possible because of you. Without your contribution, it would not have been the same. And now that we have come to this point, I want to let you know the date for the next one, 31st of January. 31st of January will be the date for the next summit. The Biafra Genocide Summit is designed to keep the struggle in the face of the world. So again, 31st of January, we're going to gather together, and we're going to have other speakers, and we're going to continue to do the advocacy work. We'll continue to shout and scream and get our message out into colleges, into universities, and students and universities will be debating the Biafra genocide issue, the cost of the Biafran people. We'll look forward to partnership with colleges, with universities around the world, especially in Europe and United States. We look forward to partnership with companies, corporations, as part of their civic social responsibility. You cannot be telling us you have civic social responsibility and you're watching the genocide take place. Okay, you can't say that to us. And also celebrities, the Elon Musk of this world, the Oprah Winfrey of this world, the Bill Gates of this world, and the various foundations that they represent. For instance, Jeff Bezos has a foundation for courage and civility. Well, take a look at what we're doing. Take a look at the cost of the Biafran people. Millions of people slaughtered in cold blood. Millions of still paying the price till today. Started 50 years ago. Still paying the price. Still being killed till today. I don't know what other courage you require. What other evidence of courage you require than the courage of the Biafran people who, after all we have gone through, we're still here, we're still working hard, we're still studying, and we're still serving the different communities in which you belong. So I'm looking forward to that. And now that we have come to the end of this session, we're going to invite Venerable Ingrid to close with a prayer as we started with prayer. And then I'm going to hand over to the host to arrange that. So thank you so very much, everyone, for your contribution, for your participation, and for your leadership. And our friends on social media, thank you so very much. Well done, Demarca and Rosemary, done a fantastic job today. Thank you very much. Back to the host in the studio. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the awesome closing remark. Thank you as well for your leadership, your patience. Thank you for all the things you take, all the bullets you take to make sure the government moves. We appreciate you. We are ready to work with you. Thank you very much. Venerable Wigwe, I call you to pray so that we can close for this month. Thank you, sir.
Okay. The Lord be with you. Father divine, glorious God, we honor you, we adore you, we worship you because you're a good God. We thank you for the deliberation today. We thank you for this seminar. Lord, we pray that you help us, Lord, and all the people that will listen or that we read what's been happening here, Lord divine. Help them to help us. We pray, Lord, that you open our eyes. Help us, divine Lord. Help Biafrans everywhere, those who are suffering right now, those whose marketplaces have been burnt, whose homes have been burnt, those who have lost relatives, Father, those who are mourning. We pray that you help them. Young people cannot go, are not able to go out in the evening again in Imo State and Abia, in most places. They are being warned to stay home. Lord, please help us. We have no weapons to fight at this time, and people are killing us with sophisticated weapons. Lord, please help us today. Help us always. Help us enjoy this Christmas. Please protect our young people. Don't let them be killed anymore. Help our young ladies. Don't let them to be raped, to be forced into marriage. Lord divine, help them in all things. Grant peace and understanding. Heal us. Make us know you. We thank you for all those who took part in this event today. Bless us in our homes. In the name of God, the Father, God, the Son, and God, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Venerable. As we come to the end of this summit for this month of November, month of December 2022, I also want to reach out to Bishop Emmanuel Samuel. He made frantic effort to come in for whatever we know where the technology comes into play. We hope to invite you some other time, sir. Thank you, guys, and we wish that everybody we take home today that Biafra genocide is not going away. Biafra genocide, those who committed genocide in Biafra land will be held accountable. That we want the world, we want CNN, we want Fox News, we want BBC, all of them to ask, what is it that Biafrans keep on mentioning this genocide and the world is keeping quiet? We want them to talk about Biafra genocide. We want those corporations, oil wells in Biafra land, all those hidden hands that are still coming to Biafra land to kill us, doing bunkering. Bunkering, our people will be burnt. It's part of genocide. We want you to know that Biafrans will not allow this to happen again in our land. Biafra genocide, people must be held accountable. And it's going to be an ongoing discussion every month. The next one the president has announced will be January 31st. If you want to reach us, please call 9 plus 1202 787 8909 and make appointments to speak with the government. We are located on 1717 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., next to White House. We are a government. We are open for discussion. We can strike a deal. If Nigeria is giving you oil, we can give you better oil. We can give you better quantity. We want to strike a deal with government that are genuinely looking for, Biafrans to do business with. But we need our freedom. And we will not stop talking. We will not stop asking until we get it. On that note, we say, may the blood of our Biafran that were wasted in between 1967 and 1970 and still ongoing, keep asking for vengeance, keep asking for revenge. And what is their compensation? Their compensation is freedom for Biafrans. On this note, from my side, as I thank all panelists and co-hosts, we say Merry Christmas and keep safe. Our brethren all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.